Chapter 4457. Autumn Moon's scimitar was covered by the power of the sacred heart of 9 orifices, and was extremely powerful. It hit the spear of the heavenly human tribe Divine Master. With a clang, the heavenly human tribe Divine Master's body was blocked, and he even took a few steps back. Although Autumn Moon also took a few steps back, the heavenly human tribe Divine Master's heart was pounding. How is this possible? How can this woman be so powerful? The power of 9 colors. Is this the legendary sacred heart of 9 orifices? The heavenly human tribe Divine Master was extremely shocked. He did not expect another person to be so powerful. Although Autumn Moon's strength was not comparable to Wan Shun's, she was definitely powerful and had a combat strength of 11 stars. This combat strength was already at the level of the heavenly children. First, it was Wan Shun who was comparable to the strongest heavenly children. Now it was a seemingly weak woman who was at the same level as the heavenly children. More importantly, her cultivation had also reached the 9th level of the divine god realm. This seriously exceeded the knowledge of the heavenly human tribe Divine Master. Since when were there 2 such terrifying geniuses in the universe? Autumn Moon did not think as much as the heavenly human tribe Divine Master. After she took a step back, she continued to control her scimitar and slashed at the heavenly human tribe Divine Master. The heavenly human tribe Divine Master reacted and blocked her attack. The 2 of them exchanged blows again, and the outcome was a draw. Meanwhile, Wan Shun had already rushed over and was about to reach them. No, this woman is too powerful. It's impossible to take her as a hostage. I chose the wrong target. I should have gone for the other one. Thinking of this, the heavenly human tribe Divine Master did not continue fighting. He quickly retreated and rushed toward Xian Yanqing. Wan Shun was speechless. Seeing the heavenly human tribe Divine Master rushing toward Xian Yanqing, Wan Shun was not in a hurry and slowed down. Wan Shun was willing to give up Autumn Moon to go for Xian Yanqing. Wan Shun really wanted to see his expression. Soon, Wan Shun's wish was fulfilled. Xian Yanqing's face was cold. He did not want to waste time talking to Wan Shun, so he summoned his ultimate weapon. Xian Yanqing's ultimate weapon was a black lotus. The black lotus spun rapidly and its petals opened, turning into the most terrifying weapon and attacking the heavenly human tribe Divine Master. Clang clang clang. The black lotus collided with the long spear of the celestial race's Divine Master. The black lotus spun crazily and cut the long spear. The terrifying power made the celestial race's Divine Master lose his grip on the long spear. He retreated rapidly and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He was injured again. No, this is impossible. How is this possible? The heavenly humans were the most hurt. He felt that his heart was about to explode from the shock. This was because he realized that Xian Yanqing's strength was in no way weaker than myriad gods. A 9th-layer Great God Realm cultivator with 12 stars of battle power controlled a terrifying killing weapon. It was the best configuration. What's going on? What's going on? Has the world gone mad? The fact that several such terrifying geniuses had appeared consecutively had completely exceeded the limits of his imagination. He had stayed here for thousands of years. What had happened outside? If there was only one such terrifying heaven's favorite, he could still accept it. But now it happened again and again. There were already 3 of them. He was dumbfounded. I don't believe it. I don't believe that all 4 of them are so powerful. I don't believe it. The celestial race's Divine Master roared in his heart. He immediately abandoned Xian Yanqing and charged toward Lu Ming. Die brat. The celestial race's Divine Master roared and unleashed his killing move. Terrifying energy surged toward Lu Ming. He wanted to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. It seemed that he would only feel better if he killed Lu Ming. Only then would he feel that the world was not as crazy as it seemed. Only then would he feel that his previous understanding of the world was correct. Myriad God, Xian Yanqing and Qiuyu were speechless. Seeing the celestial race's Divine Master charging toward Lu Ming, they were speechless. They were even less anxious. They simply followed behind the celestial race's Divine Master and blocked his path of retreat. I'm too lazy to play with you. Let's finish this in one move. A snow-white staff appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was the Bingxian staff. The Bingxian staff could not be used in the Taishang Immortal City, But there were no such restrictions here. The Bingxian staff had been dormant for 1,000 years. It was time for it to shine. Buzz. Lu Ming activated his full strength. Rich and majestic forbidden energy surged wildly into the Bingxian staff. The Bingxian staff rapidly enlarged into a towering pillar. Then, it smashed toward the celestial race's divine master. Boom. Then, the celestial race's divine master's body crashed into the ground like a meteorite. He crashed into a dilapidated building, creating a huge crater in the extremely hard ground. The celestial race's divine master lay in the crater. His bones were all shattered. He could not move at all. Blood kept flowing out of his mouth, and his body kept convulsing. However, his eyes were blank. He was doubting life. His mind was also a mess. A few questions kept echoing in his mind. How is this possible? How can his combat strength be so strong? 13 stars? Impossible. This is crazy. This world has gone crazy. I must be dreaming. He could not accept the reality in front of him. Divine Lord Realm existences had extremely sharp senses, and their perception of power was also extremely shocking. In the collision just now, although Lu Ming had used the Bingxian staff, he could still feel that Lu Ming's combat strength had surpassed 12 stars and reached the legendary 13 stars. He was almost scared to death. What did 13 stars mean? He had learned about it before. Throughout the long history of the primitive universe, there were very few who could reach 13 stars. One could count them with one's fingers. In the history of the celestial race, there were only 2 celestial thearchs who had reached 13 stars of combat strength. Those 2 were people who had mastered the perfect power of heaven. As far as he knew, the current generation of the celestial race could be said to be full of talents. There were even 2 celestial race cultivators with 12 stars of combat strength. However, none of them had reached 13 stars. Now a young man who had reached 13 stars of combat strength had suddenly appeared. He was completely dumbfounded. Haha, this expression is awesome. The myriad deities flew over and laughed loudly. This guy wanted to take the others as hostages, but in the end he was beaten to the point of doubting life. Seeing a divine master like this, Wan Shen felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. Let's leave this place first. The commotion just now was too big. There might be other celestial race cultivators nearby. Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming nodded. He grabbed the Heavenly Human Clan's God Master in his hand. This Heavenly Human Divine Master had been severely injured by Lu Ming's attack and couldn't fight back. The Bingxian staff is stronger than I thought. Without a doubt, it's an source-level divine weapon, and not an ordinary one. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Back then, the Heavenly Court was so powerful that it could compete with the Heavenly Palace. As the Heavenly Court's 18 divine weapons, there was no doubt that they were all source-level divine weapons, and not ordinary ones. They were even more advanced than Wan Shen's Black Staff. Together with Lu Ming's 13 stars of combat strength, it was normal for him to severely injure the Heavenly Human Divine Master with one attack. Chapter 44-58. Grabbing the Celestial Race God Lord, the 4 of them left in a flash. Not long after, they appeared in an undamaged building in the distance. Speak. Why did the Celestial Race appear here? When did you arrive? How many people did you bring? Lu Ming coldly asked as he threw the Celestial Race God Lord to the ground. By now, the Celestial Race God Lord had come back to his senses. He glared at Lu Ming's group of 4 with hatred and murderous intent. I know that one of you is in control of the Life Soul Source Stone fragment, but don't even think about getting any information out of me. Is that so? Aren't you afraid of death? Lu Ming coldly said. Will you let me go if I tell you? Ha! The Celestial Race God Lord countered with a mocking tone. Clearly he was very rational and knew that even if he told them everything, only death awaited him. Thus he would not say anything. Today you have to speak even if you don't want to. Wan Shen coldly barked as he sent a stream of energy into the God Lord's body. Immediately, the Celestial Race God Lord's body began to tremble, and cold sweat broke out on his face. He was clearly enduring immense pain. But he gritted his teeth and did not say a word. He did not even grunt. Humph, you're quite stubborn. Now, I'll let you have a taste of withered bones devouring your soul. Let's see how long you can endure. Wanshan coldly snorted as he waved his hands and sent several streams of energy into the godlord's body. The godlord's body began to tremble even more. More and more cold sweat broke out on his body, and his face turned red from the pain. However, he still managed to hold himself back. You'd better speak soon. I can give you a quick death, Wanshan said. Don't expect me to say a single word. Someone will avenge me. Just you wait. The celestial race god lord roared. Wanshan's expression turned somewhat ugly. This person's bones are truly stubborn. It seems like it won't be easy to get some information out of this person. Kill him, Lu Ming said. As you wish. Wanshan stepped forward. A violent energy exploded and destroyed the godlord's body. However, his forehead began to shine. One could see an extremely deep black hole. A golden divine bridge extending into the depths of the black hole. This was the universe bridge. Normally, Almighty Masters would form a universe bridge that led to the depths of the black hole. Their ultimate goal was to connect to Universe Ocean. Once he reached the pinnacle of the Almighty stage, his universe bridge would connect to Universe Ocean, and he would be able to comprehend the origin. That was why it was impossible to comprehend origins without reaching the peak of the Divine Master Realm. After the battle for the Seed of Origin in the Grand Supreme Immortal City, they were able to enter the cosmic ocean directly. Their methods could be said to be extremely powerful. The universe bridge kept trembling as though it was struggling to break through space. You still want to struggle? Break! The myriad god bellowed coldly. His strength erupted as he stomped down. With a loud boom, the black hole along with the universe bridge completely exploded, turning into energy and dissipating. This divine master of the heavenly human tribe had been completely annihilated. It seems like there are quite a number of people from the heavenly human tribe who have entered this place. From now on, we have to be more cautious, Lu Ming said. Next, they left this place and continued to head deeper into the ancient city. However, they were much more cautious. They did not fly in the air, but ran quickly on the ground. Even so, they were still attacked very quickly. A group of heavenly human tribe members blocked Lu Ming's path. There were more than a dozen of them, and they all looked very old. 1 Divine Master and 12 9th-level Great God Realm cultivators. We can deal with them. Let's go, Lu Ming said. The Divine Master on the other side was only a 1st-level Divine Master. There was nothing to be afraid of. Set up the formation, shouted the heavenly human cultivator of the 1st godly leader layer. The other 12 cultivators of the 9th Great Supreme God layer moved and surrounded him. A terrifying chi dashed to the skies. Then a huge battle sword was formed and slashed toward Lu Ming and the others. Be careful, it's the 9 Heavens battle formation. Lu Ming rushed forward and took out the Bingxian rod. He swung it out and clashed with the huge battle sword. Boom! The battle sword shattered. The 13 people on the other side kept retreating. Their faces were pale, but they were not injured. The 9 Heavens battle formation is indeed powerful. However, these people's strength is also extraordinary. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 12 9th-level Great God Realm cultivators from the heavenly human tribe had at least 6-star fighting strength. Some of them even had 7-star fighting strength. There was also a powerful Divine Master. After setting up the 9 Heavens battle formation, they managed to block Lu Ming's attack. However, the heavenly human tribe members were even more shocked. When they looked at Lu Ming, they were deeply shocked. The 9 Heavens battle formation, which had a 1st-level Divine Master as its core and 12 powerful Great God Realm cultivators as its support, was actually at a disadvantage. However, before they could think about it, Wanshan and the others had also arrived. Wanshan, Xianyanqing, and Qiuyu attacked together. The attacks fell like a storm. The 13 heavenly human tribe members were shaken and kept retreating. The 12 9th-level Great God Realm cultivators were bleeding from the corners of their mouths. Even with the support of the 9 Heavens battle formation, they were still under great pressure. Where did these people come from? The 13 heavenly human tribe members were terrified. The strength of these 4 young people was beyond their imagination. Lu Ming and the other 3 were about to break the other party's 9 Heavens battle formation in one go. However, there was a loud shout not far away. A few thieves, how dare you? Die. A loud shout rang out, and an overwhelming aura surged over. This is a second-level divine master. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others turned grim. They might be able to fight against a first-level divine master with their powerful weapons, but they could even suppress him. Lu Ming, in particular, could even kill his opponent. However, a second-level divine master was much stronger than a first-level divine master. Even Lu Ming might not be able to defeat a second-level divine master. Let's go! Lu Ming shouted. The four stopped attacking. They turned around and fled into the distance. A second-level divine master heavenly human was not someone they could fight against. If it was just an ordinary second-level divine master, the four of them might be able to fight him if they worked together. However, the members of the heavenly human tribe were generally stronger than those of other tribes. This was not the point. The point was that they did not know how many heavenly human tribe members were in this ancient city, and how many experts there were. However, it seemed that there were quite a few of them. Once they were surrounded, they would be in great danger. Where do you think you're going? An old man appeared not far away. He was a second-level divine master, and he chased after Lu Ming's group with astonishing speed. Let's chase together. The 13 heavenly human tribe members also chased after Lu Ming's group. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared. Not long after, Lu Ming's group of 4 had unsightly expressions. This was because that second-level divine master was very fast, much faster than them. The distance between the two sides was constantly closing. Chapter 44:59. As expected, it didn't take long for the two sides to close in on each other. Heavenly Annihilation Palm, die for this old man. The second-level divine master Celestial roared. His heavenly power erupted as he thrust his palm forward. A massive palm shot toward Lu Ming's group of 4. This palm was formed from heavenly annihilation power, and was imbued with destructive power. The massive palm enveloped Lu Ming's group of 4. Before the palm even reached them, their faces paled. Attack together. Block it. The 4 of them roared as they attacked with all their might. Wan Shen swung his pitch-black metal staff, and Lu Ming used his ice mystic staff to meet the attack head-on. Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon also used their trump cards, following behind Lu Ming and Wan Shen's attacks to find an opening. But when the palm pressed down, Lu Ming's group of 4 shuddered and retreated, smashing through 5 or 6 tall buildings. Lu Ming felt his aura boil, but he quickly suppressed it and returned to normal. Xian Yanqing and Wan Shen were slightly pale. Their hands and bodies were trembling slightly. Autumn Moon's condition was the worst. Her slender body trembled as she vomited blood. Autumn Moon, how are you? Lu Ming asked worriedly. Young master, don't worry. I'm fine. Autumn Moon smiled. As she spoke, the 9 orifices sacred heart in Autumn Moon's chest throbbed. 9-colored power seeped into her body, giving her an exuberant life force. Autumn Moon's injuries healed at an astonishing rate. You can block this old man's palm. Let's do it again. The second-level divine master celestial race elder was extremely shocked, but he suppressed his shock and attacked again. His yellow hair danced in the wind as his heavenly power boiled. He pushed his strength to the limit and fired off several palms. A few grayish palm prints that were as huge as mountains blasted toward Lu Ming and the group of 4. The 4 of them could only fight back with all their might. Boom. Boom. Palm imprints pressed down one after another, and Lu Ming's group was once again sent flying. This time even Lu Ming was slightly injured. His face was somewhat pale. As for Myriad God and Xian Yanqing, their injuries were even worse. The one in the most critical condition was Autumn Moon. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and his aura was somewhat sluggish. Clearly, he was severely injured. Autumn Moon, don't attack anymore. Stay behind me. Lu Ming shouted. Young master. Autumn Moon was a little stubborn. She still wanted to attack, but under Lu Ming's stern gaze, she gave in and stood behind Lu Ming. It doesn't matter who you are hiding behind. All of you are going to die anyway. Die for this old man. The second-level divine lord of the celestial race roared as he continued to attack. Large gray palms continued to bombard Lu Ming's group. Lu Ming, I'll stop him. You wait for an opportunity to counterattack. Xian Yanqing's voice rang out in Lu Ming's ear. As she spoke, she took a step forward and unleashed her heavenly demon domain. At the same time, lotus flowers appeared. These lotus flowers wove together to form a shield. Lu Ming saw a mysterious and strange energy in these lotus flowers. The energy of origin. Yes, Xian Yanqing could also use the energy of origin. After the battle for the origin seeds ended, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Myriad God, and Autumn Moon had verified what they had learned. As the champion, Lu Ming was in the best position. His connection to the cosmic sea was the best, so the origin seed he had condensed was naturally the best. The origin seed was the size of a longan. Lu Ming could use the origin energy within it to attack or defend, but he could only use it once. Second to Lu Ming was Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing's origin seed was about the size of a broad bean. However, Xian Yanqing could also use the origin energy within it to attack or defend, but she could only use it once. Of course, the amount of origin energy she could use was less than Lu Ming's, so it was naturally weaker. Xian Yanqing had been in the second position. As for Myriad God and Autumn Moon, they were in the third position. Their origin seeds were even smaller, only the size of a green bean. Moreover, because they were too small, they could not use them at all. They could only use them to cultivate. Now Xian Yanqing was relying on his origin energy to block his opponent's attack. "I'm coming too," Myriad God roared. Although he could not use his origin energy, he pushed 10 some defensive origin secret techniques to their limits, covering the area in front of him. Boom. Boom. The heavenly annihilation palm smashed down, causing a violent explosion. Plush. Myriad God was the first to succumb. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood as his body was sent flying, smashing through 10 some buildings before finally coming to a stop after crashing into a massive stone steel. His arms had been shattered, and his body was in tatters. He was severely injured. Xian Yanqing was not faring much better. The lotus flower shield she had formed began to shatter. Her body was also sent flying, coughing up blood. She could not use much origin energy, but origin energy was still origin energy. Even though Myriad God and Xian Yanqing were heavily injured, they were still able to block the attack. The annihilating palm imprints that the opponent had sent out crumbled. Thish. At this moment, a resplendent spear light pierced through the void toward the second-level divine lord of the celestial race with astonishing speed. Lu Ming had made his move. His timing was impeccable. The moment the annihilating palm imprints crumbled, he used the heaven-cleaving style. At the same time, he used origin energy. Yes, this move was shockingly powerful. At this critical moment, the second-level divine lord of the celestial race could not use any powerful defensive skills. He could only use his palms to block. His palms collided with the spear aura. With a loud boom, a powerful force swept out. Plush. The spear light pierced through the celestial race second-level divine lord's palms. The spear light did not stop and continued to stab into his body. Ah! The celestial race second-level divine lord screamed as he retreated, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. His chest had been pierced through, leaving a hole that went straight through the front and back of his body. The power of the origin continued to rush left and right in his wounds, causing destruction. However, this person had used heaven's power to block it. The divine power of a second-level divine lord is truly powerful. What a pity, Lu Ming sighed. In the end, there was still a gap between his strength and that of a second-level divine lord. He had used his strongest attack to launch a sneak attack, but he had still failed to kill his opponent. Let's go. Since he did not manage to kill the other party with one strike, Lu Ming did not hesitate. He turned around and left. Taboo power gushed out, sweeping up Qiuyu, Xian Yanqing, and Wan Shen as they flew into the distance. Little brat, don't think of leaving. The celestial race second-level divine lord roared. He was about to give chase, but his body trembled and he vomited blood, his face ghastly pale. That move just now had contained origin energy, and was shockingly powerful. It had already dealt him a heavy blow. Chapter 4460. Source Energy. This is the source energy. How can a god emperor control the source energy? The second-level god lord of the celestial race roared in his mind, disbelief written all over his face. He could sense origin energy in Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's energies. As a god lord, he had interacted with heavenly venerables many times, so he naturally understood origin energy. There was a great difference between origin energy and the ancient origin characters, so he could easily distinguish them. Shock, confusion, envy. His heart was instantly filled with a myriad of emotions. At that moment, the cultivator of the first divine master layer arrived with 12 elders of the 9th great supreme god layer. He suppressed his shock and injuries and roared, "After them! Don't let them go!" Having said that, he endured his injuries and flew out, chasing after Lu Ming and the rest. He could not let Lu Ming's group escape. It was not only because Lu Ming's group was too dangerous and needed to be eliminated, but also for himself. He had to capture Lu Ming's group of 4, and learn how to control origin energy from Lu Ming's group. A mere god emperor was able to control the power of origin. With his divine master cultivation, he would definitely be able to succeed if he knew the method. If he could control origin energy in advance, he would have a chance of reaching origin energy in the future. His heart burned with passion. Thus, he put his life on the line, ignoring his injuries and the consequences as he madly pursued Lu Ming's group. The other celestial race experts also began to pursue this scoundrel. Lu Ming's expression turned rather unsightly. Although the second-tier divine master from the heavenly human tribe was severely injured and weakened, he seemed to have been injected with adrenaline. He chased after Lu Ming with all his might. Not only was Lu Ming unable to shake him off, but the distance between them was also closing. Moreover, he was carrying Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shen, so his speed was somewhat affected. If this continued, it was only a matter of time before they were caught. "Young master, put me down. Let me stop them," Qiu Moon called out. "Lu Ming, you go first. Don't worry about me," Xian Yanqing also called out. "That's right. Put me down. I don't like this guy. Put me down and I'll cut off his head," Wan Shen also called out. They did not want to implicate Lu Ming, and wanted to lighten the burden on Lu Ming. At the same time, they also wanted to stop the celestial race experts and buy Lu Ming time. How could Lu Ming not know what Qiu Moon and Xian Yanqing's group's intentions? Thus, he ignored them and continued flying at full speed. However, the distance between them and the God Emperor's group's group and their group. "Kid, you can't leave. Stop right there, and I'll give you a quick death," a second-tier divine master from the heavenly human tribe shouted, trying to put psychological pressure on Lu Ming. His God. Damn it, the power of the origin source is truly terrifying, he roared in his heart. Pursuing Lu Ming with all his might was extremely harmful to him. If this continued, there would be many side effects. In the best-case scenario, his cultivation base would deteriorate, and in the worst-case scenario, he would be left with injuries that he would never be able to recover from. His cultivation base would never be able to improve. However, compared to the method of controlling the origin source, he still decided to risk his life. He was no longer young, and his potential was about to be exhausted. However, his cultivation base was only at the second tier of the God Master realm. If he did not encounter any heaven-defying opportunities, reaching the third tier of the God Master realm would be his limit. Hence, even if he was left with injuries that were difficult to recover from, his losses would not be too great. However, once he obtained the method of controlling the origin source, his potential would skyrocket. His cultivation base would advance by leaps and bounds, and he might even be able to break through to the reciprocity realm. Compared to the potential gains, risking his life and taking the risk was completely worth it. He continued to suppress his injuries and continued his pursuit. A few minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Fog is rising. Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed. Fog suddenly rose from the ancient city. It was unknown where the fog came from. It seemed to have come directly from space or from the ground. In the blink of an eye, the void was filled with a thick fog, and it was getting thicker and thicker. In the future, it would become similar to the void they had come from. This fog could cut off vision and spiritual sense. Lu Ming sensed that his visibility was rapidly decreasing, and the range of his spiritual sense was also rapidly shrinking. Not good. It's time for fog to rise again. The celestial race second-tier god master realm expert grimaced, his expression turning extremely unsightly. He desperately burned heavenly power to increase his speed, so that he could catch up to Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's figure in front of him was still growing more and more indistinct. The fog was getting thicker and thicker. The heavens are helping me. Lu Ming was not alarmed. On the contrary, he was delighted. This fog was far too useful to him. He could use this opportunity to throw off the celestial race second-tier god master realm expert. Swish. Lu Ming rushed to the surface, and then his body began to flicker as he passed through various buildings. The fog was already getting thicker and thicker, and with the addition of the tall buildings, it affected his vision even more. A little while later, the celestial race second-tier god master realm expert had completely lost track of Lu Ming. Damn it! You can't get away. Once the fog disperses, you'll all die. The celestial race expert roared. Then he stopped and sat down cross-legged. He took out several pills, swallowed them, and began to treat his injuries. I've finally shaken that fellow off. Lu Ming inwardly breathed a sigh of relief, but he did not stop and continued to fly. Only after flying far enough did Lu Ming find a building and stop. After stopping, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wanshan swallowed divine pills and began to treat their injuries. Their bodies were different from ordinary people's, and their vitality was extremely tenacious. They recovered very quickly, and it didn't take long for the three of them to basically recover. At this time, the fog was extremely thick, about the same as the void outside the ancient city, and it severely affected their vision. Even in the air, they could only see objects that were 100 meters away. Even with their spiritual senses, they could only see a few 100 meters away. Fortunately, their hearing was somewhat better, but it was still greatly obstructed. I wonder how long this fog will last. Will it never disperse? Xian Yanqing muttered, his expression grave. If it really didn't disperse, it would be troublesome. In such an environment, it would be very difficult to distinguish directions. Moreover, they had been flying randomly, so they didn't even know where they were. It would be very difficult to get out. How could it be so coincidental that the fog started not long after we entered? Perhaps the fog will disperse after a while. Lu Ming said. What do we do now, young master? Qiu Moon asked. The four of them discussed for a while, and decided to continue their search in a certain direction. They couldn't just stay where they were. If the fog didn't disperse, wouldn't they have to stay here for the rest of their lives? Of course, that was impossible. They moved along the ground in the opposite direction. Of course, they did not move very quickly for fear of encountering some terrifying danger. Chapter 4461. Lu Ming and the other three moved forward in the mist. Their speed was not fast as they walked along the streets and alleys of the buildings, focusing on their surroundings. Half a day later. Watch out. There's something up ahead. Suddenly Lu Ming said and sent a message to Xian Yanqing and the others. Xian Yanqing and the other two also stopped and looked in one direction. Because from that direction, they heard the sound of explosions and weapons colliding. Someone was fighting. The four exchanged glances. Who was fighting? Was it the heavenly human race and the others, or the horrifying creatures in the mist? Lu Ming was confused, but he decided to go and check it out. The four hid their auras and rushed toward the direction of the sound. It's close. Hide. Lu Ming said. The four hid their bodies with the help of the tall buildings, and continued to approach. Finally, a blurry figure appeared not far ahead. The heavenly human race. That's right, they saw a dozen heavenly human race members at first glance. Through their auras, they could see that one of them was a divine master. The other heavenly human race members were all at the 9th layer of the great god realm. However, they were not the ones who had chased after Lu Ming and the others, but the other heavenly human race members. The number of heavenly human race members here was indeed shocking. Right then, the divine master heavenly human race member did not attack. Only a dozen elders at the 9th layer of the great god realm joined hands, and formed the 9 heavens battle formation to attack a young man. It's him. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wanshan saw that young man and were all shocked. They knew this young man. Xiao Chuhe was one of the top geniuses on the universe ancient genius rank, ranked 18th. Everyone had seen him in the battle for the origin seed. He had an 8-star battle power and a cultivation base at the 9th layer of the Great God realm. However, he was surrounded by more than a dozen elders from the heavenly human race, and had no power to fight back at all. In a one-on-one battle, none of the heavenly human elders would be able to beat Xiao Chuha. But with all of them setting up the 9-sky battle formation, Xiao Chuha was completely suppressed. Right then, Xiao Chuha was already wounded, and his clothes were dyed with blood. He kept backing out, and it looked like he was about to die. Lords of the heavenly human tribe, if you want the life soul origin stone fragment, I'll give it to you. Please spare my life. Xiao Chuha screamed and started to beg for mercy. Humph, since you've come here and seen us, you have to die. After all, we can still get the fragments of the natal spirit stone in your hands after killing you. The divine master of the heavenly human race sneered and stood to the side with his hands clasped behind his back, looking calm and composed. So Xiao Chuha also has a piece of his life spirit yuan stone. Back in the top immortal city, it was suppressed, and I could not sense it at all. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Originally, the owner of the natal spirit stone fragment would be able to sense it when they were close. However, in the Taishang immortal city, everything was suppressed, including the fragments of the life spirit vitality stone. They were also suppressed, so they couldn't sense each other. Therefore, Lu Ming did not know that Xiao Chuha had the natal spirit stone fragment in the top immortal city. The battle of the origin seeds had gathered all of the top martial geniuses in the entire universe. Lu Ming estimated that Xiao Chuha might not be the only one with the natal spirit stone fragment. However, since he could not sense it, he did not know who it was. Pooh. Ah. Right then, Xiao Chuha was no match for the heavenly human race. A beam of sword chi pierced through his body, and his body exploded into 2 halves. Spare my life. Xiao Chuha screamed, but the heavenly human race warrior would not show any mercy. The 9-sky battle formation was activated, and the sword chi increased drastically as it continued to attack Xiao Chuha. This time, Xiao Chuha would not be able to survive. His head was pierced through by the sword chi and exploded. Shoo. Shoo. Xiao Chuha's head exploded, and his sea of consciousness collapsed. A couple of beams of light shot out. Soul origin stone fragment. Lu Ming could clearly see that one of the beams of light was indeed the natal spirit stone fragment. I want to eat it. I want to eat it. Lu Ming's natal spirit stone was getting impatient, revealing a deep desire. However, it was suppressed by Lu Ming. That heavenly human race warrior reached out his hand and grabbed the natal spirit stone fragment. A smile appeared on his face as he said, "Very good. Another natal spirit stone fragment is in our hands. If we succeed this time, our master will definitely reward us handsomely. This time, I wonder how many people have come in here. It would be great if we could get a couple more of them," a 9th-level heavenly human race elder said. "Yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's give this natal spirit stone fragment to our master first, and then come out to look for the others," that heavenly master said. However, just as he finished speaking, his expression changed as he looked in one direction and yelled, "Who is it?" From that direction, 4 human figures suddenly shot out. These 4 human figures were naturally Lu Ming, and the other 3. The other party was able to discover them because the 4 of them had done it on purpose. Because Lu Ming and the others had decided to attack. These heavenly human race warriors were not strong. They could sense that the heavenly master was only at the 1st level of the divine master realm. They could definitely deal with him. There were 2 reasons for killing these heavenly human race warriors. One was, of course, the natal spirit stone fragment. The other was to capture a few heavenly human race warriors and ask them some questions they wanted to know. Not every heavenly human race warrior was so stubborn that they would rather die than talk. For young people, more than 10 heavenly human race warriors were relieved when they saw Lu Ming and the other 3. They could already tell that Lu Ming and the other 3 were only God Emperors. God Emperors were not a threat. Buzz. At that moment, the natal spirit stone fragment in the heavenly human race warrior's hand trembled and emitted a dim light. They also have the natal spirit stone fragment. Good, very good. He was overjoyed. Young man, the natal spirit stone fragment is in your hand. Hand it over. The heavenly human race warrior took a step forward and charged toward Lu Ming. He grabbed at the air and grabbed at Lu Ming. He thought that with his strength, dealing with a young man at the 9th level of the divine god realm would be a piece of cake. Even a peerless genius was nothing in his eyes. A heavenly human race warrior at the 9th level of the divine god realm could fight against the most ordinary 1st level of the divine master realm. However, he was not the most ordinary 1st level of the divine master realm. Therefore, even if Lu Ming had a heavenly human race warrior of 9 or even 10 stars, he was confident that he could suppress him. Moreover, how many heavenly human race warriors had 9 or 10 stars? I'll leave the others to you. I'll deal with this one. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, and the myriad gods. Then he sped up. At the same time, the Bingxian staff appeared in his hand. Lu Ming used his strongest combat strength to end the battle quickly. Boom! The Bingxian staff enlarged and charged toward the heavenly human race warrior with unparalleled power. The Bingxian staff hit the heavenly human race warrior's palm first. It was as if it was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The heavenly human race warrior's palm exploded and blood and flesh flew everywhere. Chapter 4462. The 1st level god lord of the celestial race widened his eyes in shock and disbelief. Lu Ming's strength had far exceeded his expectations. Not only was he stronger than he had imagined, but he was also much stronger. How could this be? His heart was filled with confusion and shock, but this was not the time for him to be shocked. He roared, and heavenly energy erupted from his body in an attempt to block Lu Ming's attack. But it was all in vain. Under the mysterious ice staff, his defenses and heavenly energy were pushed back again and again, crumbling apart. A terrifying pressure pressed down on him, and the ground beneath his feet began to crack. Finally, a large crater appeared in the ground. The 1st level god lord of the celestial race lay in the crater, coughing up blood as his body twitched. His muscles and bones had already been shattered. In one move, Lu Ming had heavily injured him, and he was no longer able to fight. After Lu Ming used the mysterious ice staff, his strength completely overwhelmed this person. Moreover, this person had been too careless when facing Lu Ming, so it was normal for him to be beaten to a pulp in one move. As for Xian Yinqing and the others, they were about to finish their battle. The 9th level god emperors had originally wanted to set up the 9 heavens battle formation, but Xian Yinqing had acted first, using the celestial demon domain to disrupt the formation. Without the 9 heavens battle formation, these people were on the same level as Xian Yinqing and the others. There was no suspense. The difference was too great, and they were easily defeated. At this time, these people were all heavily injured and lying on the ground, unable to move. They were no longer able to fight. However, no one had been killed. Lu Ming and the others still had questions to ask. "Let's leave this place first," Lu Ming said. With a wave of his hand, he swept up the 1st level god lord of the celestial race and took him into the fog. Xian Yinqing, Qiu Moon, and Wanxin followed with 10 some 9th level god emperors. Not long after, they entered a building. He threw the dozen or so heavenly humans onto the ground. Lu Ming reached out his hand and made a grabbing gesture. The original soul fragment that the opponent had gotten from Xiao Chuhe was caught in his hand. "You! How dare you? Don't you know that we are the heavenly human tribe? How dare you attack us? Aren't you afraid of implicating your 9 generations?" The divine master realm heavenly human shouted. He actually wanted to threaten Lu Ming and the others. Bang! Wanxin did not hold back and kicked the divine lord in the face. The man let out a blood-curdling scream as his old face came into close contact with the ground. Half of his face was swollen. "Ah, how dare you!" The celestial clan's divine master roared. 9 familial extermination? Audacious? I'm a heaven destroyer. Why would I be afraid of your heavenly palace? The myriad god sneered. The other party immediately shut his mouth, his expression extremely ugly. He howled in his heart. It was actually a heaven destroyer. The heaven destroyer specialized in fighting against the heavenly palace. Of course, they would not be afraid of the heavenly palace. Facing the heaven destroyer, their hearts kept sinking. "Speak. Why are you heavenly human tribe here? Was it attracted by the life spirit vitality stone? When did you come? How many of you are here? Lu Ming asked several questions. Traitor, don't even think about getting any information from me. I won't say anything. Just give up. The Divine Master Realm Heavenly Human said coldly. Is that so? Wanshen, teach him a lesson. Lu Ming said. He leave it to me. Dry bones devouring soul. The myriad god sneered and moved his hands, sending several streams of energy into the other party's body. Soon the other party's body began to tremble, and cold sweat dripped down his face. Clearly, this person's endurance was far inferior to the first-layer Divine Master that Lu Ming had interrogated earlier. After a while, this person let out a shrill scream. The faces of the other dozen god emperors of the heavenly human tribe turned pale. What kind of technique was this? Even a god emperor couldn't withstand it, and let out a scream. However, this person was quite strong-willed. Although he screamed, he didn't say anything in the end. The myriad god waved his hand, and put away the dry bones devouring soul. Hoo. The heavenly human tribe's god emperor panted heavily, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Ha, use whatever means you have. I won't say anything. Not a single word. Ha. Then this person laughed loudly. There's no need for you to say that. There are still a dozen people here. Lu Ming curled his lips and looked at the dozen ninth-layer god emperors. The heavenly human tribe's god emperor's expression changed. He looked at the god emperors and roared. If you dare, bang. Before he could finish his sentence, Lu Ming had already stepped on this person's head. Violent energy exploded, and the first-layer god emperor's head exploded like a watermelon. The universe bridge inside was also destroyed. A god emperor had been killed just like that. When Lu Ming killed the man, he quickly scanned the dozen elders who were at the 9th level of the Great God Realm. The expressions of the elders at the 9th level of the Great God Realm changed drastically. However, a few of them looked terrified and Lu Ming noticed it clearly. Lu Ming nodded. He knew what was going on. These heavenly human tribes' elders were quite old. They had lived for a long time and had experienced many things. They were mentally tough. If he wanted to get something out of them, he had to think carefully. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Xian Yanqing and the rest. He wanted to interrogate these few people who had revealed looks of fear at the end. Then Lu Ming walked to an elder of the 9th-layer god emperors. The heavenly human tribe's elder's expression changed slightly when he saw Lu Ming kill the heavenly human tribe's god emperor. However, his expression didn't change much. He looked as if he was ready to die. Speak. Why would your heavenly human clan appear here? Are you attracted by the fragments of the life spirit primordial stone? When did you come? How many of you are here? Lu Ming repeated the question that he had asked earlier. Don't even think about it. The heavenly human tribe would rather die than surrender. We won't say a single word. The elder shouted. Bang. Lu Ming hit the elder with the Bingxian staff and destroyed his body and soul. Then he immediately looked at the next elder of the heavenly human tribe and said, You say it. The elder's lips trembled. He looked hesitant, but in the end he gritted his teeth and said, Kill me if you want to. Don't even think about it. Bang. The Bingxian staff hit the elder and he died. Then he walked to the third elder of the heavenly human tribe. Bang. 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 Then Lu Ming killed 3 more people in a row. He was very decisive. As long as the elder said no, he would kill him with one move. Sure enough, this person was ruthless and swift. This caused the remaining heavenly human clan elders to all reveal expressions of fear. This was especially true for the few old men who had previously revealed looks of fear. At this moment, they were already filled with intense fear. I'll talk. Finally, one of the elders of the heavenly human tribe shouted. The last line of defense in his heart was broken by Lu Ming. Chapter 4463. Oh, go ahead. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile as he looked at the heavenly human elder. I'll tell you, but you have to promise to spare my life. The elder from the heavenly human tribe said. He was scared. He was really scared. If he had died in a battle, he would not have been afraid. However, if he had to wait for death, he was really scared. Okay, I'll let him go as long as he answers one of my questions in detail. If he's satisfied with your answer, I'll let him go. Lu Ming said. Really? The elder from the heavenly human tribe's eyes lit up. Of course. The first question is, why did the heavenly human tribe come here? Lu Ming said. Master brought us here. His name is Yi Wu and he's a peerless genius from the heavenly human tribe. Although he's not young or in his prime, he's a peerless genius from the previous 2 eras. He said that he found the legendary life spirit heavenly court and brought us here to look for opportunities. The elder quickly replied. Then he looked at Lu Ming hopefully and said, I've already answered one question. Can you let me go now? Of course. I'm a man of my word. Let's go, Lu Ming said. The elder was a little skeptical, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and ran away. Lu Ming and the others did not attack him. They let him go. He was just a cultivator of the 9th great god realm. It was not a big deal to let him go. Moreover, he had betrayed the heavenly human tribe by revealing their secret. That was a serious crime. Therefore, even if he went back, he would not tell anyone about the situation here. Letting him go would give the others hope. Then it would be easier for them to ask questions later. As expected, when the others saw that they could live if the elder answered one question, they collapsed. Their desire to live surpassed everything else. I'll tell you too. I'll tell you too. Ask me, I'll tell you everything. The others began to cry out one after another. They had thought that they were going to die, but now, they saw a chance to live. Naturally, they were tempted. Very good. Tell me, how did you come here? Were you attracted by the fragments of the life spirit primordial stone? Lu Ming said. I don't know if we were attracted by the vitality stone because Master Yi Wu didn't tell us. Maybe our levels are too low. A divine master might know. I only know that this is the life spirit heavenly court, and there are great opportunities here. That person replied. Lu Ming frowned. He was not satisfied with this answer. Asking was as good as not asking. When the man saw Lu Ming frown, he immediately panicked and shouted, This question, I really only know this much. Why don't you change the question? I will definitely tell you in detail. Very well. How many people have come from your heavenly human tribe? What are their cultivation levels? Tell me. Lu Ming said. This time, Lord Yi Wu has brought close to 300 people with him. There should be more than 20 divine lords, most of whom are at the 1st or 2nd layer of the divine lord realm, but there are definitely some who are stronger. My level is too low, so I don't know what the cultivation levels of those who are stronger are. I'm telling the truth. They don't know either. The person hurriedly replied. Beside him, the others also nodded. More than 20 divine lord realm existences, more than 300 people. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wanshan all wore grave expressions. Even a 2nd-level divine master wasn't someone they could deal with, let alone someone even stronger than that. All right, you can go now. Lu Ming waved his hand. The person was overjoyed. He quickly got up and rushed into the distance, disappearing into the fog in the blink of an eye. Then Lu Ming asked the next person, Where are Lord Yi Wu and those stronger experts that you mentioned? They had to know this so that they could guard against them and avoid them. The life spirit heavenly court is too big. It's hard to describe its exact location. I only know that they're in an ancient place. There must be some important treasures there, but they need life spirit stones to open it. Not just 1 or 2 pieces, but many. That's why Lord Yi Wu sent us to different places to hunt down experts who have life spirit stones and give them to him. The person answered. How did he know that someone with a piece of the natal spirit stone would come here? Lu Ming continued to ask. They had just arrived not long ago. And Lord Yi Wu must be very far away. They did not sense the vitality stone fragments. How did Lord Yi Wu know that they had come here with the fragments of the natal spirit stone? Did he encounter other existences with vitality stone fragments? I don't know about that. My rank is too low, and Lord Yi Wu won't tell us many secrets. The person said, looking at Lu Ming uneasily. He was afraid that he would be killed by Lu Ming if he was not satisfied with his answer. You can go now. Lu Ming waved his hand. The person was overjoyed and hurriedly left. There were still 4 heavenly human tribe elders present. They looked at Lu Ming hopefully, hoping to answer Lu Ming's question and get a chance to live. Tell me in detail about the life spirit heavenly court. Is it dangerous? What's with the fog? Lu Ming asked. This fog will automatically disappear after 7 days. After that, it will appear again after a period of time. It will continue to deteriorate. Furthermore, there are no other dangers here. One of the heavenly human tribe elders told him everything he knew in detail. After hearing this, Lu Ming and the others finally understood a lot about the life spirit heavenly court. When did you come here? Lu Ming asked the next person. I came here 3,000 years ago. A heavenly human tribe patriarch answered. 3,000 years ago? Lu Ming and the others were shocked. These heavenly human tribe members had come 3,000 years ago. No wonder they did not know them, and did not know about Taishang Immortal City. They would be shocked by their cultivation. These heavenly human tribe members had come 3,000 years ago, but they had only come recently. That Xiao Chuha must be the same as them, having just arrived recently. What was going on? Did something happen in the life spirit heavenly court that caused the vitality stone fragments to act strangely? Was that why they were brought here? Did this have something to do with Yiwu? According to these heavenly human tribe members, Yiwu had only sent his subordinates to hunt down people with vitality stone fragments not long ago. Apparently, Yiwu knew they were here. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others thought of many things and had many questions in their minds. Unfortunately, these celestial race cultivators' levels were too low. They were like soy sauce characters, so they didn't know much. If they were divine lords, they would definitely know more. Unfortunately, the 2 divine lords they had captured were too stubborn and could not open their mouths. Chapter 44-64. After that, Lu Ming asked the remaining heavenly human tribe elders a few more questions and obtained some unimportant information. Then he let them all go. After letting those people go, Lu Ming and the other 3 left as well. They found another place to let the rock spirit devour Xiao Chuha's soul stone piece. In this way, the life soul primordial stone fragment in Lu Ming's hand could be considered a fusion of 3 fragments. This made the vitality stone spirit very excited. Even its memories were more complete. It could remember a few secrets of the life spirit palace. Unfortunately, it still had no impression of the life spirit heavenly court or this ancient city. However, there were always benefits to fusing with more life spirit vitality stone fragments. Although they hadn't gained much in the life soul heavenly court, they still hadn't gained much. But one thing was for sure. There was definitely a treasure in the life spirit heavenly court. This was because Yi Wu of the heavenly human tribe was about to open an ancient ruin and needed more fragments of the natal spirit stone. Perhaps there were other similar historical sites. Also, were the other 3 treasures of the life spirit heavenly court also in this ancient city? The group of 4 continued to move through the mists, advancing carefully. Along the way, they also sensed the aura of the celestial clan, so they avoided them ahead of time. Just like that, 7 days of fog passed. When the 8th day arrived, the fog in the world quickly dissipated, and the world regained its clarity. When the fog dissipated, Lu Ming's group of 4 hid in an intact building. To them, the absence of the fog was more dangerous than the presence of the fog. It was because the celestial clan's experts could move out without any restraint. They could target them even from far away. Once he encountered an expert above the 2nd layer of the Divine Master Realm, he would not be able to shake them off. They decided not to take action when there was no fog. They would only take action when there was fog. Although the speed was much slower when the fog rose, they had plenty of time, didn't they? He's here. In less than half a day, Lu Ming suddenly whispered. The 4 of them retracted their auras to the extreme. They were like stones, using the buildings as support to look outside. Swish. Swish. In the sky, there was the sound of air being torn apart. One figure after another appeared. Their eyes were like lightning as they scanned their surroundings. It was precisely the celestial race. There was no lack of divine masters among them. At the same time, their spiritual senses kept scanning the area. Under Xianyanqing's sky demon domain, Lu Ming's group of 4 was completely isolated from the outside world's spiritual senses. Xianyanqing had the memories of his previous life, and had many tricks up his sleeve. It wasn't difficult for him to block the probing of other people's spiritual senses. The heavenly humans scanned the area, but they did not discover anything. They then left in a flash. Lu Ming and the other 3 stayed in the building, cultivating and waiting at the same time. Especially Xian Yanqing needed some time to cultivate. Because Xian Yanqing's cultivation had long reached the peak of the God Emperor realm, he could already break through to the Divine Master realm. Divine Masters SSS Divine Master. If she could break through to the Divine Master realm, her battle prowess would skyrocket, which would be of great benefit to them. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. During these dozen or so days, they had discovered at least 3 groups of Celestial Clan cultivators. They had investigated this place, so they naturally didn't discover them. Half a month later, fog began to appear again. Soon, the entire ancient city was shrouded in thick fog. Let's go! Lu Ming's group of 4 began to move again. They charged into the fog, heading toward the center of the ancient city. Nothing unusual happened for the first 2 days. On the 3rd day, they encountered a group of celestial race cultivators. This group of celestial race cultivators had a 2nd-level divine master. Lu Ming's group was no match for them, so they turned and fled. Finally, they managed to shake off the celestial race cultivators with the help of the fog. Careful! After shaking off the members of the heavenly human clan, Lu Ming suddenly shouted softly. This was because he sensed a terrifying crisis descending in that instant. At this critical moment, forbidden energy erupted, turning into a ribbon that wrapped around Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shun, forcing them to retreat. Swish! 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 Several terrifying bursts of energy descended from the sky, landing where Lu Ming's group had been standing. They struck the ground, creating several craters. Above us, Xian Yanqing roared as the celestial demon domain erupted. Black lotuses appeared in the domain and soared into the sky. Swish! 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 Above them, the fog churned and the terrifying energy howled as a bony claw swiped at them. This attack was simply too fast. From the sneak attack to the 2nd wave of attacks, there was no gap in between. It was so fast that Lu Ming could not even take out the Bingxian rod to block it. Heaven-cleaving style. At this critical moment, Lu Ming could only use the heaven-cleaving style. Spear energy poured out of his pores as his body transformed into a spear and soared into the sky. Qiu Moon and Wan Shun hurriedly used all their strength to block this attack. The attacks of the 4 people collided with the bony claws. With several explosions, Lu Ming's group of 4 shuddered. They felt a mountain-toppling pressure from the bony claw, and their bodies slammed into the ground like meteors. Plush! Qiu Moon was the weakest, so she couldn't help but vomit blood. What a powerful attack! Xian Yanqing's expression turned grave. This bony claw's attack was equivalent to a 2nd-level God Lord's attack. However, the fog made it difficult for them to sense the opponent's cultivation. They only knew that this attack was extremely powerful. And it's not from the celestial race. Lu Ming said. The celestial race controlled the power of the heavens. And the attack just now was definitely not the power of the heavens, but the divine power cultivated by the various races of the universe. Who is it? Get out here! Wan Shun roared like a frenzied lion. But the only response they received was another bony claw swiping at them from above. At the same time, the sound of air being torn came from all directions. Because the fog obstructed their vision, they couldn't see what was attacking them, but they were sure that this attack was no small matter. Profound Ice Staff. The Profound Ice Staff appeared in Lu Ming's hand. With a shout, he poured his forbidden energy into the Profound Ice Staff. The Profound Ice Staff rapidly expanded as it swung at the bony claw. Boom! There was a loud roar and the Bingxian rod vibrated violently, causing Lu Ming to retreat continuously. However, the bone claw was also blocked. Moreover, there was a gush of icy coldness covering the bone claw and spreading rapidly. At the same time that Lu Ming attacked, Xian Yanqing's group also attacked, taking out their trump cards. However, they ignored the bony claw above them, and focused on dealing with the attacks coming from all directions. Only when they got closer did they realize that the attacks coming from all directions were bone swords. The bone swords were sharp and contained terrifying energy. They constantly clashed with Xian Yanqing's group, suppressing Xian Yanqing's group. Even after using their trump cards, they were still no match. Chapter 4465. Break out of the encirclement. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon and Wan Shun. Then, the four of them gathered together, and suddenly rushed in one direction. With the combined strength of the four of them, they finally shattered a few bone swords. Then they used their movement techniques and ran quickly. After a few exchanges, they understood that the person who attacked them was very strong. Even if they used all their strength, they were definitely not a match for him. As they ran, the person who secretly attacked them chased them relentlessly. Bone swords flew through the air. At the same time, the giant white bone claw in the air condensed again. It emitted a terrifying aura and grabbed at Lu Ming and the others. Break! Lu Ming shouted. He waved the obsidian staff and continued to attack the white bone claw. He blocked the white bone claw's attack. He used the force of this attack to rush forward. At the same time, he swept up Xian Yanqing and the others and accelerated forward. At the same time, Xian Yanqing activated the heavenly demon territory to envelop a large area of defense. No matter how the other party hid, they would be enveloped by the heavenly demon territory and be greatly restricted. Lu Ming and the others took the opportunity to run forward. It was not convenient to chase in the thick fog, but it was convenient to escape. It did not take long for Lu Ming and the others to successfully shake off the other party. However, the four of them had a grave expression. Lu Ming, who do you think attacked us? If it's not the heavenly human tribe, who else could it be? Wan Shun said. It seems that other than the heavenly human tribe who wants the vitality stone fragments, there are also some other people who want to seize others' vitality stone fragments. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing and the rest understood that Lu Ming was referring to someone like them. Someone who also had fragments of the primordial stone. Now there were only two kinds of people in this ancient city. The first kind was the heavenly human tribe. The second kind was like them, people who had vitality stone fragments and were brought in by the vitality stone fragments. And the person who had attacked them was likely someone like them. Someone who possessed a fragment of a life soul essence stone. They had been brought in by the fragment. Someone wanted to take advantage of the situation to rob others of their life spirit vitality stones. The life spirit vitality stone shards only chose top geniuses, but it did not mean that they were all from the younger generation. It was very likely that he was a prodigy of the previous generation. If it was those older geniuses, then their cultivation levels were very likely to have stepped into the divine master realm long ago. In a battle between peers, Lu Ming and the others naturally did not fear anyone. However, it was hard to say when it came to fighting across generations. It seemed like the ancient city was getting more and more dangerous. Not only did they have to guard against the heavenly human tribe, but they also had to guard against the other owners of the life spirit source stone fragments. However, they couldn't stay where they were. Even if they were not looking for treasures, they would still have to make a move in order to get out. If they didn't move when the fog was thick, when the fog receded, there would be celestial race experts everywhere. It would be even more difficult to move. Therefore, Lu Ming's group of four did not stop, and continued to move forward according to the original plan. Not long after, they made another discovery. They saw a corpse in an alley. It was a blood-red bat with golden wings. A member of the blood tribe. It was obvious that this was a blood tribe expert. However, this blood tribe expert's forehead was pierced by a sword light. Killed with a single sword strike. This member of the blood race is a first-level divine master. Xian Yanqing carefully sized up this person, and determined this person's cultivation level based on the remnant aura on his body. Moreover, he wasn't killed by the heavenly human tribe. Lu Ming continued. This blood tribe expert had clearly been killed not long ago. There were still remnants of energy in his wounds that had not dissipated. That energy was clearly not the power of the heavens. Could he have been killed by the existence that attacked them earlier? This blood tribe expert was very likely the owner of the life spirit source stone fragment. That was why he was killed. The soul spirit source stone fragment on him had obviously been taken away. How many people have come this time? The myriad gods whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others did not speak. Their brows were tightly knitted. Lu Ming found it difficult to answer this question. He did not know how many fragments the Life Spirit Source Stone had shattered into. A dozen pieces? A few dozen? Apart from the heavenly human tribe, how many people had come this time? Were there any extremely terrifying existences? It felt more and more dangerous in this ancient city. There were murderous intents everywhere. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Since they were already here, they could only give it a try no matter what. The four of them continued forward. The next day was calm and peaceful. They did not encounter any danger. However, one day later, there's someone ahead. Suddenly Lu Ming and the others stopped. This was because they felt that there was someone ahead. Moreover, the person was very close to them, just 1,000 meters away. 1,000 meters away was already beyond the range of their eyesight and spiritual senses. However, a distance of 1,000 meters was too short for them. If they attacked, 1,000 meters would be covered in an instant. There was no difference between 1,000 meters and 1 meter. It could be said that this was a very dangerous distance. Once they attacked, it would be difficult to react in time. Fortunately, the other party did not attack. They seemed to have stopped there, and did not move. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen. Lu Ming and the others channeled their power, and set up layers of defense around their bodies, ready to attack at any time. Swoosh! Suddenly, there was a sharp sound in front of them. It was piercing toward them. At the same time, there was a cold aura rushing toward them at an astonishing speed. Kill! Lu Ming shouted softly, and the Bingxian staff suddenly enlarged and pressed forward like a mountain. Clang! The Bingxian staff collided with a battle sword. The battle sword vibrated violently and flew back. This sword, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This battle sword was rusty and looked very old. This was a great killing weapon, a source-level divine weapon. More importantly, Lu Ming recognized this rusty battle sword. This was Di Jianyi's sword. He had fought with Di Jianyi before. Di Jianyi's great killing weapon was this rusty battle sword. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, a black hole suddenly appeared in the sky. The black hole kept spinning and exploded with a terrifying devouring power. Even the surrounding fog was devoured by the black hole. The surrounding vision suddenly became clearer. It was not a black hole but a flower. Sky-devouring rose flower. Dark night rose, it's you. Xian Yanqing's demonic aura spread out. A huge figure appeared around her, and pressed its hands toward the black hole. Rumble! The black hole shook violently and the devouring power was also decreasing. Lu Ming, it's you. Xian Yanqing, it's you. A few figures appeared in succession. So it's you. Die kill. Wan Shen roared and his divine power erupted. His body became huge and burly as he controlled more than a dozen origin source secret techniques, and attacked in a direction. Over there, the dark aura was extremely dense. A figure turned into dark aura, and turned into various demons, ghosts and skeletons to resist with all his might. That was Yin Juling. Chapter 4466. Boom. On the other side, Autumn Moon brandished his saber, and exchanged blows with someone. That person was enveloped in flames. Every move he made caused a strong gust of wind, and exuded a terrifyingly high temperature. The aura of the origin ancient word, that's Ling Heng. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The person who was exchanging blows with Autumn Moon was actually the #1 exceptional genius on the universe prodigy list, Ling Heng. Ling Heng had actually walked together with Anya Rose and the others. Swoosh. In front of him, the iron sword flew over and slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he shouted, Di Jianyi, today, I will completely suppress you. Just as his voice fell, Lu Ming took a step forward and charged out like lightning. At the same time, the mysterious Bingxian rod struck down. When the huge mysterious Bingxian rod pressed down, the fog rolled and the void shook. Lu Ming finally saw the figure in front of him clearly. If it wasn't Di Jianyi, who else could it be? Di Jianyi was controlling the rusty saber. Dang. The saber and rod clashed again, and there was a shocking explosion. However, Di Jianyi's fighting power was originally 2 stars lower than Lu Ming's. Although the rusty saber that he controlled was also an origin-level weapon, it still couldn't be compared to the mysterious Bingxian rod. Hence, he wasn't Lu Ming's opponent at all. The saber and rod clashed and the rusty saber was sent flying. Di Dijiani's body shook and he retreated. He coughed out blood and was severely injured. Dijiani. Anya Rose shouted and waved her hand. A saber flew towards Lu Ming. The saber quickly enlarged and slashed out, cutting through the void. Hall Guardian weapon. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Back then Ling Yue, Anya Rose, Dijiani, and Xiao Wuji had explored one of the 9 Life Spirit Halls. In the Life Spirit Hall, they had discovered 2 Hall Guardian weapons. One of them was the mysterious Bingxian rod, which had landed in Lu Ming's hands. The other one was a saber that had landed in Anya Rose's hands. Obviously it was this one. Lu Ming waved his hand and the mysterious ice rod blasted out, clashing with the war blade. With a clang, the battle saber was blocked. However, Lu Ming's body also swayed slightly. What power! This Dark Knight Rose is indeed someone who has lived a lifetime. The power she can bring out when controlling the divine weapon is clearly stronger than mine. Lu Ming pondered. Dark Knight Rose was a reincarnated person. In her previous life she was Xian Yanqing's pet. However, according to what Xian Yanqing had said, Xian Yanqing had been at reciprocity in his past life. The Dark Knight Rose had been at reciprocity as well. They had the experience of reaching Origin Realm, so they were naturally more powerful when controlling divine weapons of the same level. Dark Knight Rose, your opponent is me, Xian Yanqing shouted. A huge lotus flower pressed down on Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose could only recall her saber to resist. However, how could Dark Knight Rose and the others be a match for Lu Ming and the others? They were all at a disadvantage. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, we just have different ideologies. There is no big grudge between us. Why did you sneak attack us before? Dark Knight Rose shouted. Nonsense, it was you who sneak attacked us just now. Before Lu Ming could answer, the Pantheon god roared and kept attacking like a storm. Yin Jiuling kept flashing and could only dodge with all his might. However, he was still injured by the powerful force of the Pantheon god. We attacked you? It's a misunderstanding. Stop, this is a misunderstanding. Dark Knight Rose shouted and retreated quickly. However, Xian Yanqing controlled the lotus to continue attacking. Xiaoqing, wait a minute. Lu Ming shouted. Xian Yanqing stopped and recalled the lotus, but he still stared at Dark Knight Rose. Autumn Moon, myriad gods, stop. Lu Ming shouted again. Then everyone followed Lu Ming's lead. When Lu Ming asked them to stop, Autumn Moon and myriad gods naturally stopped. Yin Jiuling, Ling Heng, and Dijiani quickly came to Dark Knight Rose's side. Lu Ming realized that besides Yin Jiuling, Ling Heng, and Dijiani, there were a few other young men and women. There were 4 other people who came to Dark Knight Rose's side. Xiao Wuji. Lu Ming saw Xiao Wuji at first glance. In the past, when Lu Ming's cultivation was still weak, Xiao Wuji had fought with Lu Ming. But then, Xiao Wuji's combat power was far behind Lu Ming's. Although Xiao Wuji had awakened the King Azura bloodline at the beginning, he had had many fortuitous encounters, and had received guidance from Dark Knight Rose. But his current combat power was 10 stars. Lu Ming had seen Xiao Wuji in the Battle of the Origin in Taishang Immortal City. However, Xiao Wuji, who had 10 stars of combat power, was nothing in Lu Ming's eyes. Xiao Wuji didn't even make it to the end before he was defeated and didn't fight with Lu Ming. But then, Xiao Wuji looked pale and dispirited. He seemed to be injured. Not only him, but the other 3 young men and women were also injured. 2 of them are top geniuses on the Universe Prodigy list. Dark Knight Rose's methods are really shocking. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. As for the other 3 young men and women, Lu Ming had seen 2 of them before. They were top geniuses on the Universe Prodigy list, and were very powerful. But now they had joined Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose had created Huiying Alliance back then to network all the heroes in the world, and build a force that was comparable to the Heavenly Palace. Back then Lu Ming had scoffed, but now he couldn't help but admire Dark Knight Rose's methods. Up until now, the number of geniuses that Dark Knight Rose had recruited was already very shocking. These were top geniuses. In the future, even if Huiying Alliance couldn't compare to the Heavenly Palace, it could at least become a powerful force in the primitive universe. Dark Knight Rose, you said it was a misunderstanding. Tell me, what misunderstanding is it? Xian Yanqing said coldly. You said that we attacked you. This is a misunderstanding. We didn't attack you. We were attacked ourselves. Previously, I thought that you were secretly attacking us? Dark Knight Rose said. You think we didn't attack you just because you said so? Wan Shen said unhappily. Then I would like to ask, how is the combat power of the people who attacked you? Do we have the combat power to do so? Dark Knight Rose said. Her words made Wan Shen's expression freeze. Indeed, the people who attacked them previously were very powerful. The four of them together weren't a match for them. Dark Knight Rose and the others obviously didn't have the strength. If I'm not wrong, the people who attacked you are stronger than us. Similarly, the people who attacked us previously are stronger than you. If I didn't use a special method, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to escape. Dark Knight Rose said. Looks like it's really a misunderstanding. Lu Ming smiled. In fact, he had thought of this when they exchanged blows earlier. That was why he had asked Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Wan Shen to stop. But just now, you were the ones who attacked first. The Myriad God said with some displeasure. Chapter 4467. In fact, Di Jiani had already believed the other party's words. Although he looked boorish, he was not reckless. Instead, he was very meticulous and could naturally figure it out. However, Di Jiani was the one who had attacked first, which made him very unhappy. That's why I said it's a misunderstanding. Just now, we felt that someone was watching us in the dark. We were afraid that the person who attacked us would catch up with us, so we took the initiative to attack. Anya Rose explained. Previously, the atmosphere was indeed very tense. Both of them had been attacked in the dark. Hence, when they sensed that there was someone in the dark, they instinctively felt that it was dangerous, and that someone had ill intentions towards them. When one party attacked, it naturally led to a huge battle. Hehe. Wan Shen chuckled unhappily. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, why don't we work together? Anya Rose suddenly turned her gaze and said, Work together? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That's right. I guess you guys have also been attacked by the Heavenly Human Tribe. In this ancient city, the Heavenly Human Tribe is undoubtedly the strongest. The Heavenly Human Tribe wants to kill us and take our Vitality Stone fragments. We are definitely no match for the Heavenly Human Tribe alone. Only by working together can we contend against the Heavenly Human Tribe. Anya Rose said, Even if we work together, we can't contend against the Heavenly Human Tribe with just the two of us. Lu Ming said, Although we can't contend against them, we have a higher chance of success. If we encounter the Heavenly Human Tribe, it will be less dangerous. Moreover, we can work together with more people. This time, all of the people who have Vitality Stone fragments have gathered together. We can all work together. As far as I know, some of them have already joined forces. There is no lack of divine masters among them. As long as we work together, we may be able to contend against the Heavenly Human Tribe. Anya Rose said. One had to admit that this woman was indeed very scheming. Although they were both reincarnated, Xian Yanqing was far less scheming than Anya Rose. What do you guys think? Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon and Wan Shen. Lu Ming, you make the decision. Xian Yanqing said. I'll listen to young master. Autumn Moon nodded repeatedly. Lu Ming, you've always been resourceful. You make the decision and I'll follow suit. Ha! The Myriad God laughed. Seeing this, Dark Knight Rose was very envious. She intended to gather all the heroes in the world to create the Huiying Alliance. Although she had successfully recruited a group of top geniuses, no matter how talented they were, how could they compare to Lu Ming and the others? Putting Lu Ming aside for now, Xian Yanqing and Wan Shen both had 12-star battle prowess. In the Huiying Alliance, only she, as the alliance leader, had such combat power. As for the weakest, Autumn Moon, she had a 9-aperture sacred heart, and possessed 11 stars of battle prowess. Her potential was enormous. It would be great if these people could join the Huiying Alliance, and become her people. Of course, she could only think about it. Alright, I promise you. Lu Ming nodded, agreeing to Dark Knight Rose's request. He had made this decision after careful consideration. If they did not cooperate, it would indeed be very inconvenient for the four of them to move around in the ancient city. Firstly, they had to guard against the Heavenly Human Tribe, and secondly, They had to guard against other people's sneak attacks. It could be said that it was difficult to move an inch. It was not easy to stay alive, let alone obtain any treasures. However, if they cooperated with more people, the situation would at least not worsen. Therefore, Lu Ming agreed to cooperate. All right, then let's leave this place quickly. I happen to know where some people are. We can go and find them. Dark Night Rose. Immediately, Lu Ming's group of 4 and Dark Night Rose's group left this place. Dark Night Rose led the way and flew in a direction. Of course, it was impossible for Lu Ming and the others to completely trust Dark Night Rose and the others. It was not that easy. Similarly, Dark Night Rose and the others could not completely trust Lu Ming and the others. On the surface, the two sides were cooperating, but they were still wary of each other. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. Although they had encountered the heavenly human tribe in the past few days, they had avoided them in advance. In addition, they did not encounter any attacks from other people. It seemed that after they joined forces, the other party was also afraid of their strength. After a few days, the fog dissipated. They did not move forward anymore, but found a hidden place to stay. They would wait for the fog to reappear half a month later before continuing their journey. After a few days, Di Jiani, Xiao Wuji and the others had recovered from their injuries. They were all seizing the time to cultivate. The people here had reached the peak of the 9th layer of the Divine Lord Realm. The next step was to break through to the Divine Lord Realm. They were all preparing to break through to the Divine Lord Realm. Especially Dark Night Rose and Xian Yanqing, who were the closest to the Divine Lord Realm. They were cultivating all the time, preparing to break through to the Divine Lord Realm. 15 days passed in the blink of an eye. Then the fog rose again. Lu Ming and the others set off again, moving forward with the help of the fog. After a few days, they arrived at a place full of rocks. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court was too big. It was even bigger than the Dragon Tribe's mother planet. Naturally, it was not all kinds of buildings. There were many other complicated terrains. For example, this area was full of rocks. These rocks were tall and majestic. Some were like mountains, some were like sharp swords, and some were even like various living beings. These rocks seem to have formed some kind of formation, Xian Yanqing whispered. It has indeed formed some kind of formation. It's easy to get lost, but it shouldn't be difficult for us to get in and out. Dark Night Rose said to Xian Yanqing. After all, they were experts of the origin realm in their previous lives. They were experienced and knowledgeable. This kind of formation formed by rocks was not particularly profound. It could not trap them. There are some people in these rocks. Let's go in, Dark Night Rose said. After saying that, she rushed into the rocks first. Di Jiani, Yin Jioling, Ling Heng, Xiao Wuji and the others followed closely behind. Let's go too, Lu Ming said and followed them into the rocks. As soon as they entered the rocks, the surrounding rocks seemed to move on their own. But when they looked closely, they did not seem to move. However, Lu Ming found that the terrain had changed. The surroundings seemed to be full of rocks, and it was difficult to distinguish the direction. It's really a formation. But this formation is not profound. Lu Ming was also proficient in formations in the past. Although he had fallen behind in these years, his foundation was still there. After careful observation, he found something fishy. However, Dark Night Rose and Xian Yanqing found it earlier. They took the lead and moved in one direction. 2 hours later. Who are you? Stand there. If you continue to move forward, we will attack. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded out. Everyone, don't misunderstand. We also have the fragments of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone. We want to cooperate with you to fight against the heavenly human tribe together. Dark Night Rose said hurriedly. It's you, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Dark Night Rose, Wan Xin. Suddenly, there were a few exclamations. Obviously, someone recognized Lu Ming and the others. Chapter 4468. Someone recognized Lu Ming and the others and exclaimed in shock. Now only the heavenly human tribe in this ancient city would not recognize Lu Ming and the others since they had been cooped up in one place for thousands of years. It would be hard not to recognize Lu Ming and the others if they had dreamed sacred jade in a bigger place. Of course, it would be a different story if they did not have dreamed sacred jade in places like the Taishu dynasty. As a few shocked voices rang out, a figure flashed, and a dozen figures appeared in the surrounding rubble. Among them, there were 5 young people. The rest were either middle-aged or elderly. Lu Ming and the others were not surprised. It was impossible for all of them to have life spirit vitality stone fragments. It was possible that only the young ones had them, and the older ones did not. They just happened to come in together. For example, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Qiuyu, and Wan Xin did not have life spirit vitality stone fragments. They had come in like Lu Ming. It was the same for the others. For example, Anya Rose and the others did not have life spirit vitality stone fragments. In fact, only Anya Rose, Di Jiani, and Xiao Wuji had life spirit vitality stone fragments. The others were brought in by Anya Rose, mainly for opportunities. These few people. Lu Ming looked around and realized that there were a few young people who were on the Universe Prodigy list. They were ranked very high. One of them was even in the top 10 of the Universe Prodigy list. Everyone, how about we work together? Anya Rose asked again. You were attacked by the heavenly human tribe too? Asked one of the young people. His name was Bei Ao, and he was ranked 5th on the Universe Prodigy list. He was an absolute demon with a battle power of 10 stars. That's right. The heavenly human tribe came 3,000 years ago, and there are many of them. As far as I know, there are more than 20 almighty beings. Now they are hunting people who have life spirit vitality stone fragments. If we don't work together, we will be defeated one by one and be robbed of our life spirit vitality stone fragments, Anya Rose said. Dark Knight Rose said, wanting to facilitate this cooperation. In fact, Dark Knight Rose didn't care about these young men at all. The strongest among them was Bei Ao, who only had a battle prowess of 10 stars. He was not enough to be defeated by her with a single slap. She was only interested in the older ones. These people were most likely the elders or subordinates of those young men. Their auras were astonishing, and no less than 5 of them had reached the Divine Master realm. With the addition of these people, their strength would definitely increase greatly. All right, I agree to cooperate. What about you? Bei Ao said as he looked at the other young men. I have no objections. Now it seems that we can only deal with the heavenly human tribe by working together. The other young men nodded in agreement. Since both sides had no objections, they naturally hit it off and quickly reached an agreement. Then, it was time to discuss the details. In the end, everyone decided to find more people to work with. It would be best to gather all the people who had fragments of vitality stones together to fight against the heavenly human tribe. At the same time, they would work together to find the ancient ruins in the heavenly court. As long as they had enough people working with them, they would have enough life spirit vitality stone fragments in their hands. At that time, if they encountered something similar to what the heavenly human tribe encountered and needed enough life spirit vitality stone fragments to open, they would be able to open it directly. As for the treasures inside, it would depend on their own abilities. After discussing, they planned to send people to the vicinity of this rocky area. As long as they saw living beings who were not from the heavenly human tribe passing by, they would pull them over to cooperate. Of course, their base camp was still in this rocky area. This rocky area formed a formation. Once the heavenly human tribe attacked, they could use the formation here to easily escape. Even if the fog dissipated, they could still escape. If there was no fog in other places, once they were surrounded by the heavenly human tribe, it would be difficult to escape. Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the others first familiarized themselves with the operation of the formation in this rocky area. After a few days, when they were completely familiar with it, Lu Ming and the others scattered around the rocky area and waited for others to pass by. As for looking for people to cooperate with, it was too unrealistic and too dangerous. They could only wait in the vicinity. They cultivated and waited at the same time. When there was no fog, the heavenly human tribe would also come to this area to investigate. However, once they sensed the heavenly human tribe approaching, they would hide in advance. Therefore, the heavenly human tribe would fail every time. Just like that, time flew by. Soon, Lu Ming and the others had been in this area for more than half a year. In this more than half a year, their team grew stronger and stronger. Now there were almost 50 people in total. Of course, There were only a dozen people who actually had fragments of vitality stones. The rest of the people had followed along. Among them, there were as many as 10 divine masters. This gave them a lot of confidence. Among the 10 divine masters, the strongest was a second-level divine master. There were a total of 3 second-level divine masters. This was also the reason why their team could exist. There was no imbalance in strength. If one of them was especially strong, such as a third-level divine master, it would be very difficult for them to cooperate. It was very likely that the third-level divine master would directly attack the others and steal their fragments of vitality stones. 3 second-level divine masters and 7 first-level divine masters could form a restriction. Only by cooperating could they achieve success. At this time, the group decided to leave this rocky area. They were going to look for opportunities in the Life-Soul Heavenly Court. This was the Life-Soul Heavenly Court. Everyone was tempted. If they could find one of the 3 legendary treasures of the Life-Soul Heavenly Court, they might be able to soar. This was especially true for the weaker geniuses, such as Bei Ao, who were even more excited. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others were now looking down on the younger generation of the primitive universe. They were envious, jealous, and even more eager to obtain the treasures of the Life-Soul Heavenly Court. Once they obtained them, they might surpass Lu Ming and the others. They could look down on the primitive universe and suppress an era. The group chose to leave the rocky area during a period of fog and headed toward the center of the Life-Soul Heavenly Court. The more people there were, the braver they became. They sped up. Nearly 50 figures flashed forward in the fog. Ah! Suddenly, a scream rang out. Damn it, it's the Heavenly Human Tribe. Friends, kill them. Kill them all. A loud roar came from the front left. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others heard the roar and immediately rushed toward the front left. According to the agreement, no matter who was attacked by the Heavenly Human Tribe, the others had to go and help. However, when Lu Ming and the others arrived, there was no need for them to do anything. This was because the dozen or so Heavenly Human Tribe members had been surrounded. At this time, the Heavenly Human Tribe members were pale. They looked at the 50 people around them in a daze. Chapter 4469. What are you trying to do? Are you going to rebel? I recognize you. Devil race, blood race, Buddha race. One of the celestial clan members shouted loudly. His eyes were cold as he threatened everyone. Humph, even at a time like this, you're still threatening us? Simply laughable. If we don't kill you, you'll kill us. Dark Knight Rose said. That's right. As long as we kill them all, who will know that we did it? Lu Ming continued. You two brats, you're courting death. The eyes of the Divine Master Realm Heavenly Human widened as he stared at Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose. He wanted nothing more than to eat them alive. However, his heart was trembling. He was a first-tier Divine Master. However, there were a total of 10 first-layer Divine Masters surrounding him. Even though he was confident that the fighting strength of the celestial race far surpassed those of the same level, there was still a second-layer Divine Master among them. He would definitely be no match for them and would be killed. Originally, he wanted to threaten these people. Most of these people were from races under the rule of the Heavenly Palace. Threatening them might work. After all, the Heavenly Human Tribe had accumulated too much power. Originally, he had already seen fear in some people's eyes. However, because of Dark Knight Rose and Lu Ming's words, the fear in their eyes disappeared and was replaced by cold killing intent. Damn it! He really wanted to skin Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose alive. Everyone, what are you still standing there for? Hurry up and attack. Once the Heavenly Human Race's reinforcements arrive, the ones who won't be able to escape will be us. Lu Ming shouted. Little bastard, shut up. The Heavenly Human Clan's Divine Master roared. Kill. Lu Ming shouted and punched out. A fist energy rushed towards the celestial race expert. Pull one hair and the whole body will be affected. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, the others immediately followed suit. Kill. Wave after wave of attacks rained down on the Heavenly Human Tribe members. There were so many experts, including 10 Divine Lords and 3 second-level Divine Lords. These Heavenly Humans simply couldn't withstand them. They roared, they threatened, they despaired, and they were killed. After a single wave of attacks, the dozen or so heavenly humans were all killed. Then they burned the corpses of the dozen or so celestial race cultivators, and quickly left this place. Awesome. Yeah, it's so fucking satisfying. Killing the heavenly humans is so satisfying. That's right. These heavenly humans are usually high and mighty. It's as if other than the heavenly humans, all the other races in the universe are ants. It's really annoying to look at them. This time, if I have the chance, I'll kill a few more. Some people discussed in secret, their eyes filled with excitement. These people had been oppressed by the heavenly human tribe for too long. Now that they had killed more than a dozen heavenly human tribe members, they immediately felt refreshed. They continued forward. In the following day, they didn't encounter anyone from the heavenly human tribe. Gradually, the crowd became bolder. The distance between them gradually widened and widened. After all, they belonged to more than 10 different factions. Although they had cooperated, they all had their own thoughts. Once they encountered any fortuitous encounter, they could take it for themselves and not share it with others. In the end, there's still a sheet of loose sand. If they really encounter a third-level divine master from the heavenly human tribe, they probably won't be able to withstand a single blow. Lu Ming shook his head inwardly. Third-level divine masters were much stronger than second-level divine masters. With the strength of so many people, if they worked together, they might even be able to contend against a third-level divine master. However, looking at the situation, it would be difficult for them to work together if they really encountered danger. Suddenly, 2 screams came from the right side. However, after these 2 screams, they immediately fell silent. The expressions of the others changed. Were they attacked by the heavenly human tribe again? Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming, Xianyanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shun, Dark Night Rose, and the others quickly rushed in the direction of the screams. When they arrived, they saw 2 corpses. One was a young man, and the other was an old man. At this moment, there were already some people surrounding them. These people's expressions were somewhat ugly. This was because the old man was a first-level divine master. What's going on? Don't you see the heavenly human tribe? Someone asked among the people who arrived later. No. When we arrived, we saw that they were already killed. However, we didn't see anyone else. He was also a divine master. I don't see anyone else. Could it be that the celestial race immediately retreated after they succeeded in killing the celestial race? Are they hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to attack? Someone said, his expression becoming serious. Many people involuntarily scanned their surroundings. They were incomparably vigilant, fearing that the celestial tribe's experts would suddenly attack. Has the Yuan Road's life spirit Yuan stone fragment disappeared? Dark Night Rose asked. Yuan Lu was the young man who had been killed. That's right, his primordial stone fragment has indeed disappeared. A divine master old man replied. Let me take a look at his wound. Dark Night Rose said. There's no need to look anymore. We've already examined them. It was indeed done by the celestial race. There's heavenly power left in their wounds. The old man from before said. However, Dark Night Rose didn't pay attention to him. She walked over and checked carefully. Then, Dark Night Rose retreated expressionlessly. She came to Lu Ming's side and said, Lu Ming, why don't you go and have a look too? Oh. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Dark Night Rose also asked him to have a look. Could it be that she had discovered something? Lu Ming also walked over. He used his spiritual senses to check the wounds of the 2 men. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, the expression on his face did not change at all. He also retreated without saying a word. It seems that the celestial race is really hiding in the dark. We have to be careful later. Someone said. We were too scattered and too far away from each other before. That's why the celestial race had an opportunity to take advantage of us. Later, they'll be closer. That's right. Everyone chimed in one after another. Lu Ming, let's stay closer to each other. What do you think? Dark Night Rose transmitted her voice to Lu Ming. Of course. Lu Ming replied. After a while, they continued to set off. However, they did not dare to be too far apart from each other. Instead, they gathered together and continued to move forward. In particular, Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose's groups were even closer to each other. For the next half a day, there was no movement at all. The celestial race did not continue to attack. Everyone's hearts relaxed a little. It seemed that as long as they gathered together, the celestial race would not dare to attack. They were afraid of their strength. However, Lu Ming, Dark Knight Rose, and the others did not think much of it. They could kill a first-layer divine master with a single blow and disappear without a trace before the others arrived. Would they be afraid of them? Chapter 4470. Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the others didn't dare to relax. They were constantly looking around. Suddenly, in the thick fog, a few more screams were heard. Who is it? You're courting death. Then, a few angry roars were heard. A few attacks were launched in that direction, but after one attack they stopped. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The others rushed over, but they only saw 3 corpses. Among the corpses, one was a young genius. Everyone recognized him. He was a genius on the universe genius list, but he was dead. The other corpses were a middle-aged man and an old man. The middle-aged man had the strength of the 9th great supreme god layer, and the old man was a godly master. Now they were all dead. What's going on? We were so close. How could they kill us? Why didn't I sense anything? Did you see them? No. Everyone was talking at once. The more they talked, the uglier their faces became. They were already very close to each other, but they were still ambushed. A divine master expert and a genius were killed, and a life spirit origin stone fragment was taken away. How did they do it? Of course, they couldn't be within 100 meters of each other. They were at least a few hundred meters away from each other. A few hundred meters was really close to them. They could arrive in a blink of an eye. Although their vision was limited to 100 meters in this place, they would be able to detect the slightest movement in an instant. Logically speaking, it was difficult for the heavenly human tribe to ambush them at such a close distance. But the fact was someone was really ambushed and killed. Without anyone noticing, by the time the others arrived, the enemy had already disappeared. This was a bit strange. Damn the heavenly human tribe. How did they do it? Damn it. Some people roared. They were furious, but there was nothing they could do. At this time, Lu Ming and Anya Rose went forward to check the wounds. Then they looked at each other and retreated. No matter what, they had to continue walking. Everyone calmed down and continued on their journey. But this time, they were more cautious. More than 40 people gathered within 100 meters. They moved forward under the double detection of sight and spiritual awareness. This time, there was no movement for a few days, and they were not attacked by the heavenly human tribe. Could it be that the heavenly human tribe saw that we were gathered together and couldn't do anything, so they left? It's very likely that we're heading in the opposite direction of Yi Wu of the heavenly human tribe. We're getting further and further away from the heavenly human tribe. It's normal for them to leave after seeing that they can't do anything to us. However, I still can't let my guard down. Everyone discussed for a moment. Another day later, the fog receded. His field of vision suddenly widened, and his spiritual sense was no longer obstructed. He was able to explore very far places. Everyone immediately extended their spiritual senses to investigate, but in the end, they found nothing. Look around. Many people flew up and flew in all directions to see if there were any traces of the heavenly human tribe. Now that the fog had retreated, there was one advantage, and that was that there was no need to worry about sneak attacks. Even though they were very far away, everyone could still see each other. If there was any movement, the others would be able to help in an instant. However, even after searching a large area, they still couldn't find any traces of the heavenly human tribe. There was no trace of the heavenly human tribe's aura either. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that the heavenly human tribe had really retreated. With a wide field of vision and no heavenly human tribe around, everyone sped up. It had to be said that the ancient city was really huge. Moreover, they couldn't fully utilize their speed here. After a few days of traveling, they were still in the outer area. They had not reached the core area yet. Look, that mountain is very special. Suddenly, someone pointed at a large mountain in the distance. Everyone looked over, and their expressions changed. The mountain was shaped like a ferocious beast. Its mouth was wide open, but there was a stone door in its mouth. The stone door was closed. Other than that, there were no other doors around it. Everyone's eyes flickered. There was indeed something strange about that mountain. The various buildings that they had encountered before could be entered at will, but there were no stone doors in those buildings. However, that place was different. The stone door was closed. Could there be treasures in that mountain? Everyone's eyes immediately lit up. Let's go. Needless to say, everyone rushed toward the mountain. Soon, they arrived not far away from the stone door. Someone directly attacked and blasted out a burst of energy, bombarding the stone door. Boom. When the energy hit the stone door, dense runes suddenly appeared on and around the stone door, blocking the energy. An array formation. Everyone's hearts skipped a beat, and they became even more excited. That was the first time they had seen a place protected by a rune array formation after entering the ancient city. There might really be treasures inside. The heavenly court has been destroyed by the heavenly palace for countless years. Even if there is a rune array formation, it must not be very powerful after so many years. If we join forces and attack it together, we will definitely be able to destroy this rune array formation, someone suggested. Of course, no one objected. They all attacked. Powerful attacks bombarded the stone door. The stone door rumbled and exploded. The sound spread far and wide, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. They were afraid that it would attract the powerhouses of the heavenly human tribe. However, in the face of a possible treasure, no one was willing to give up. That was a treasure left behind by the heavenly court. What if it was a heaven-defying treasure? Everyone gritted their teeth and continued to attack. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Fortunately, it did not attract the attention of the heavenly human tribe. However, what made everyone speechless was that after half a day of bombardment, the stone door still did not move. Looking at the runes on the array formation, the light did not seem to have weakened. This rune array formation is so difficult to break. If this continues, we might not be able to break it even after a few months. It will be troublesome if the powerhouses of the heavenly human tribe are attracted. Someone said, "Let's see if the vitality stone fragments are useful. Let's take them out and try." An old man suggested. The old man's name was Chu-yi, and he was one of the 3 second-level divine master experts. Moreover, this old man was very special because he controlled a vitality stone fragment. The other older people had followed the younger people, and did not have life spirit primordial stone fragments themselves. This was because the vitality stone fragments would choose the more talented people as their masters. Alright, let's try it together. Hearing Chu-yi's words, everyone nodded and had no objections. Then they took out the life spirit vitality stone fragments. Buzz. Buzz. As soon as the vitality stone fragments were taken out, they trembled slightly and resonated with each other. Chapter 4471. When everyone took out their life spirit vitality stone fragments, all of them resonated with each other and emitted a rich light. The radiance gathered together and flew towards the stone door. When the radiance enveloped the stone door, the runes on and around the stone door quickly melted like snow meeting fire. It works! Everyone's eyes lit up. It turned out that the natal spirit stone fragments were really useful. With enough natal spirit stone fragments, one could really open some ancient ruins in the natal spirit heavenly court. Could it be that the natal spirit stone fragments were equivalent to a key? That was really possible. In just a few breaths, the runes around the stone door had completely disappeared. Boom. Someone made a move and continued to blast out a beam of energy, bombarding the stone door. This time, there was no rune array blocking it. With a click, the stone door opened under the force of the energy. Many people's eyes lit up and they could not hold back. In a flash, they rushed into the stone door. Let's go. Let's go too. Those who had fragments of life spirit primordial stones put them away and led their people towards the stone door. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shun, Anya Rose and the others also rushed into the stone door. Behind the stone door was a passageway. It was obvious that this passageway had been forcefully carved out of the mountain, and it was slanted downwards. Everyone followed the passageway, and before long, they arrived at a huge underground space. This underground space was very wide and one could not see the end of it. It was like a world. What a rich divine qi! And what a rich metal qi! Lu Ming and the group's hearts stirred as they looked around. This underground space had an extremely special environment. It had an extremely rich divine qi that floated in the air like a mist, as if it was about to materialize. At the same time, it had an extremely rich metal qi. Rare metal materials could probably be born here. I'll breathe, I'll breathe, I'll breathe, breathe, breathe. On Lu Ming's wrist, Qiuqiu opened its mouth and tried its best to absorb the metal qi in the air. It was obvious how rich the metal qi was. Even Qiuqiu was alarmed. Look, what's that? Someone exclaimed and looked at the stone door in front of them. Everyone flew over and arrived before the stone tablet. The stone tablet wasn't big. It was only 10 feet tall, and there were some words written on it. The ancient Chaotic Heaven Sword is Divine Lord Chaotic Heaven's personal sword. It fought alongside Divine Lord Chaotic Heaven for half of his life, and after it was destroyed, it was sealed here. These were the words on the stone tablet. At this moment, everyone realized that there was a big box under the stone tablet. It was impossible to tell what material the chest was made of, but it was covered with magical symbols that formed a spell formation that constantly absorbed the god items and metal energy in the area. Could it be that the ancient Chaotic Heaven Sword is in this chest? Unfortunately, it's a broken sword. Even if it's a broken sword, it's still a main-grade divine weapon. If it's well preserved, the materials used to refine it can be used to forge a main-grade divine weapon. Not bad, open it and take a look. Immediately, several people made their moves. The rune array on the big box was not a defensive array. It was only used to absorb the surrounding divine artifacts and metal qi, so it could be easily destroyed. In just a few moments, the rune array on the box was destroyed, and then the box was opened. Immediately, a powerful sword qi rushed out of the chest. Furthermore, a dense black fog appeared. Within the mist, there seemed to be souls howling and howling. What powerful sword qi! Look! It's a sword! Several people cried out in alarm. Everyone looked over, and sure enough, there was a pitch-black battle sword in the chest. However, this sword was not complete. The tip of the sword had been broken, but it still retained a powerful intelligence. This could be seen from the sword qi it exuded. Such powerful sword qi. This sword is definitely a main-grade divine weapon, and a top-class one at that. Although it's broken, it's been preserved too well. Its intelligence is intact. If a master artificer were to extract the materials inside and combine them with other materials, he might be able to forge a new main-grade divine weapon. I want this sword. Swish. Someone reached out to grab the ancient Chaotic Heaven Sword in the box. But how could the others just give it up? They immediately made their own moves. Boom. 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 After exchanging a few blows, they were forced to retreat and stand off. I found this steel first. You want to fight with me? A youth shouted. Who said you found it first? You were the first to speak, so you found it first? This old man found it before you even spoke. An old man sneered. I found it as soon as I entered. Another youth called out. No one was willing to back down. This old man wants this ancient sword. Suddenly Chui made his move. He took a step forward, unleashing a berserk aura that forced the others back. Then, he reached out to grab the ancient Chaotic Heaven Sword. He was a second-level God Lord, so the others would find it difficult to contend against him. Only the other two God Lords could contend against him. But their eyes flickered several times, but they did not make a move. It was not worth it to risk their lives against an expert of the same level for a broken main-grade divine weapon. In the end, the ancient Chaotic Heaven Sword fell into Chu Yi's hands. Eat. I want to eat. I want to eat. Qiuqiu struggled on his wrist, but he was suppressed by Lu Ming. It's really good stuff, but this old man is too strong. He's hard to deal with. Lu Ming sighed softly. This broken ancient sword was well preserved and full of spirituality. It was a great supplement for Qiuqiu. Lu Ming really wanted to snatch it for Qiuqiu to eat, and increase his strength. Qiuqiu's strength had fallen too far behind theirs. Qiuqiu was in a miserable state in Zenith's supreme immortal city, because his strength had not increased by much. Qiuqiu could only continuously increase his strength by continuously absorbing metallic materials, or divine weapons made of metal. He was not interested in the divine medicines mentioned above and had no effect on them. The desolation pills in Zenith's supreme immortal city were great supplements for others, and could allow their cultivation to advance by leaps and bounds, but their effects were limited for Qiuqiu. Refining the desolation pills made Qiuqiu's strength increase very slowly. The weapons and pill furnaces in Zenith's supreme immortal city were protected by the intents and laws of Zenith's supreme immortal city, so Qiuqiu could not eat them at all. During his 50 years in Zenith's supreme immortal city, Qiuqiu had found several pieces of special metals. However, the metals in Zenith's supreme immortal city were no small matter. Qiuqiu had only found 3 pieces, and after refining them, his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. He was now at the 6th level of the Great Supreme God realm. But compared to Lu Ming and the others, he was still too weak. Lu Ming wanted to find some precious metals or high-level broken divine weapons for Qiuqiu to devour. The ancient chaotic heaven sword was a very good food. Chapter 4472. The ancient chaotic heaven sword was a top-grade divine weapon, and the materials used to forge it were extremely precious. If Qiuqiu had devoured it, it would have been of great help. Unfortunately, it had fallen into Chu Yi's hands. Trying to take it from a second-level god lord was tantamount to snatching food from a tiger's mouth. There's also a steal over there. All of a sudden, someone shouted softly. Everyone hurriedly looked over. While this person was speaking, someone had already charged over. Let's go. Everyone's figure moved, and they rushed over there. There was indeed a steal there, almost identical to the one on the ancient chaotic heaven sword. Boom. At this moment, a great battle had already broken out, divine power bursting forth. The first few groups of people to arrive had already begun to attack. By the time Lu Ming and the others arrived, they discovered that there was indeed a large chest under the steel. The chest had already been opened, and terrifying ripples were emanating from within. These ripples were boundless and lofty, as if they were the origin of everything, the core of the universe. Origin. This was an source-level divine weapon. At this moment, everyone's hearts trembled, their eyes blazing with desire. The remaining 8 god lords in particular had even more fervent looks in their eyes. The 8 divine lord realm experts all charged at the chest. Then a great battle erupted. The chaotic battle between the 8 god lords was incomparably intense. Terrifying ripples of energy swept out in all directions like a terrifying wave. Those below the god lord level retreated. Only a small number of people were able to block this wave of energy. For example, Lu Ming's group and Anya Rose's group had to be at least a 9th level god emperor to be able to stabilize themselves. However, Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Anya Rose, and the others did not move. Although there was an source-level divine weapon in the chest, it was clearly incomplete, with only half of it remaining. Of course, it was very well preserved, and its spirituality was still present. If one could extract the materials within, it would still fetch an astonishing price. However, it was truly too difficult to take it from the hands of 8 greedy god lords. Moreover, there were 3 second-level god lords. Even if they could take it, they would become a target for everyone. The 8 god lords exchanged several dozen blows, and the battle grew more and more intense. Kill! Chui roared as his sword pierced through the forehead of a first-tier divine lord. Destructive sword chi instantly obliterated this person's soul and cosmic bridge. A first-layer divine master expert had fallen. Bang! At the same time, another first-layer divine master was struck by a second-layer divine master. His body was torn apart, and as he screamed, his body and soul were destroyed. In the blink of an eye, 2 first-layer divine lords had been killed. Out of the 8, only 6 remained. 3 second-level divine masters and 3 third-level divine masters. At this moment, the 3 first-layer divine masters were greatly shocked. They retreated frantically, not daring to participate in the fight. The difference in strength between a first-level divine master and a second-level divine master was still too great. Fighting over treasures among second-level divine masters was an act of courting death. Boom, boom, boom. There were still 3 second-layer divine masters left, and the battle became even more intense. All sorts of killing moves were unleashed, and the sky darkened. One could see that of the 3, Chu-Yi was slightly stronger. In this chaotic battle, he slowly gained the upper hand, almost obtaining the damaged soul-level divine weapon several times. However, each time Chu-Yi was about to obtain it, the other 2 would work together to push him back. In the blink of an eye, the 2 sides had exchanged more than 100 blows. All 3 of them were injured, and their auras were rather weak. They retreated, cautiously looking at each other. Everyone, let's stop fighting. We weren't strong to begin with, and if we continue to suffer losses, if we leave this place and run into the celestial race, we'll probably all be wiped out. That won't do anyone any good. At this moment, Dark Knight Rose stood out and said, "That's true, but who will this damaged soul-level divine weapon belong to?" A second-layer divine Lord Elder asked. "Senior, why are you so concerned about this damaged divine weapon? I estimate that this place is where the Life Soul Heavenly Court buried the damaged divine weapon. There are probably more in other places. Some people have already gone to other places to search. If the 3 of you continue to fight like this, the gains will not make up for the losses." Anya Rose said. Just now, some people had indeed left to search in other directions. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others were also planning to leave. The eyes of the 3 second-layer divine lords flashed. They knew that Anya Rose's words were reasonable, but they were still unwilling to give up the soul-level divine weapon in front of them. This damaged soul-level divine weapon in front of them truly existed. There might not be any other damaged divine weapons in other places. And even if there were, there might not be any damaged soul-level divine weapons. The 2 of you, this damaged soul-level divine weapon is of great use to this old man. How about you give it to this old man? This old man can compensate you." Chu-Yi said. The other 2 second-layer divine lords inwardly looked at him with disdain. Who wouldn't be of use to a damaged soul-level divine weapon? Only you would be of use to it? Compensation? What kind of compensation do you want to give? In the end, another second-level divine master spoke. He was still somewhat wary of Chu-Yi's strength. Chu-Yi was indeed slightly stronger among the 3 of them. Moreover, continuing the battle would be disadvantageous for them. He might not be able to take this damaged divine weapon in the end. More importantly, there might really be damaged soul-level divine weapons in other places. Many people had already gone there, so he was getting anxious. "I will compensate you with some primary divine medicines and divine pills. I guarantee that you will be satisfied," Chu-Yi said. "Let's go." While Chu-Yi's group was discussing, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shen had already left to search elsewhere. At the same time, Anya Rose led her group away. The 3 second-layer divine lords were even more anxious when they saw this. Not willing to delay, they casually discussed the compensation and left after receiving it. Chu-Yi also obtained the damaged soul-level divine weapon as he wished. There should be more in this place. Chu-Yi's eyes burned with passion as he also left. The group spread out to search the underground space. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others didn't have to search for long before they found a stone stele. The 4 of them hurriedly rushed over. God Lord Fan Ye's divine weapon, the Myriad Leaves Halberd, was destroyed and buried here. These were the words carved on the stone stele. There was indeed a large chest beneath the stone stele. The chest was covered in runes that absorbed the energy of the divine weapon and metal. The 4 worked together to break open the rune array on the chest. After opening it, they saw a damaged halberd. This was a broken primary grade divine weapon. "Eat, I want to eat." Qiu couldn't hold himself back, and began to struggle on his wrist. He bared his teeth and sent sparks flying. "For you." Lu Ming grabbed the broken halberd in the air, and passed it to Qiu. End of this chapter. Chapter 4473. Lu Ming handed the broken halberd to Qiu. Qiu was overjoyed. It flew out from Lu Ming's wrist, opened its mouth, and swallowed the broken halberd. Then it revealed a satisfied and intoxicated expression. "Lu Ming, it would be great if you could find me a few broken source-level mystical weapons." A few broken source-level mystical weapons? This guy. Lu Ming was a little speechless. This guy was really insatiable. Source-level mystical weapons, even if they were broken, were not that easy to find. In the primitive universe, even broken source-level mystical weapons were considered great treasures. They were controlled by the powerful races and were extremely precious. Even in the merit exchange hall of the Heavenly Palace, there were no broken source-level mystical weapons. The best they had were broken master-level mystical weapons. Back then, Lu Ming had exchanged a few broken mystical weapons worth 1,000,000 merit points for Qiu. They were broken master-level mystical weapons. The Heavenly Palace also treated broken source-level mystical weapons as treasures. Why would they exchange them? This was also the place where the Heavenly Palace buried the broken mystical weapons. It was possible for them to appear here. It was very, very difficult to buy a broken source-level mystical weapon in the universe. Even if one had the money, one might not be able to buy one. Also, Autumn Moon doesn't have a source-level mystical weapon yet. If there's a chance, I have to get one for Autumn Moon. Lu Ming thought to himself. Now Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Wan Shen all had source-level mystical weapons. Only Autumn Moon's weapon was still a master-level mystical weapon. This would have a significant impact on Autumn Moon's strength. Lu Ming planned to find a source-level mystical weapon for Autumn Moon. Of course, a source-level mystical weapon could only be found by chance. I'll try my best to find one for you. Digest it well, Lu Ming said to the ball. Qiu's round body happily spun a few large circles before returning to Lu Ming's wrist. It transformed into a bracelet and began to digest that main-grade divine armament. Lu Ming and the other three continued to search in other directions. Not long after, they saw another stone tablet. However, the large chest below the stone tablet was already empty. Clearly, someone else had taken the lead. Lu Ming and the other three sped up. Finally, after a while, they saw another stone tablet. The divine weapon of Hanshin Yuanzun, broken beyond repair, was buried here as a memorial. The words on the stone tablet made Lu Ming's heart beat faster. An origin exalt. This was a divine weapon at the origin realm. Could it be a source-level divine weapon? Lu Ming wasn't sure either. After all, a source-level divine weapon was too precious. There were extremely few source-level divine weapons in the primitive universe. Some of the weaker origin realm experts didn't even have a source-level divine weapon. Only a small number of source-level divine weapons in the primitive universe were forged by the experts of the primitive universe. Most of them were found in the ruins of the universe. They were products left behind from the previous era. Every path led to the origin. At the origin realm, many things were interconnected, whether it was weapons or other things. Therefore, although this was a divine weapon left behind by an origin realm expert, it might not be a source-level divine weapon. Open it and let's see. Lu Ming and the other three took action, constantly destroying the rune formation on the large chest. Not long after, the rune formation was broken. Lu Ming waved his hand and opened the chest. A vast aura permeated out. This aura was extremely shocking. It was extremely similar to the broken halberd that had caused the battle between Chu Yi and the others. Source-level divine weapon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Qiu jumped out from Lu Ming's wrist excitedly. Congratulations, young master. Qiu Moon was also full of smiles. Then I'll use this divine weapon to feed this guy. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing and Wan Shen. What are you looking at me for? Is there a difference between your item and mine? Xian Yanqing rolled his eyes at Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Ha ha, Lu Ming, take it. As long as it's useful to you, take it. You don't need to ask me. I already have a source-level divine weapon. Wan Shen laughed straightforwardly. Lu Ming nodded. He didn't hold back anymore and extended his hand to grab the broken source-level divine weapon. However, at this moment, a powerful force came from afar and went straight for Lu Ming's vital spot in the middle of his back. Be careful, Qiu Moon and the others hurriedly warned. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He waved his hand and blasted backward, colliding with the force. With a loud bang, Lu Ming blocked the force. Lu Ming looked in that direction. Another figure continued to head in this direction. It was an old man. It's him. Lu Ming's lips curled as he recognized this old man. He was one of the 3 remaining first-layer god lords. The one who had attacked just now was clearly this person. The moment this old man arrived, he looked at the large box with a fiery gaze. And source-level divine weapon. The old man's eyes burned with passion. Gentlemen, this old man wants this broken source-level divine weapon. Gentlemen, please do as you please. The old man said. His eyes were fixed on the big box, unable to shift his gaze away. You want it? Old man, who do you think you are? You think you can get your hands on a source-level divine weapon? I'll give you a chance. Hurry up and scram. Wan Shen immediately roared. Little guy, what a big tone. What a big temper. The old man's gaze fell on Wan Shen as he said indifferently, I know all of you. I saw the recording of the battle in Taishang Immortal City in the illusory divine jade. All of you are peerless geniuses, but you are only god emperors. Do you really think you can fight against divine lords? This old man had seen the recording of Lu Ming and the others fighting in Taishang Immortal City in the illusory divine jade and knew that they were the top geniuses of the universe. However, the recording in the illusory divine jade was still a recording, so it was difficult for him to sense the powerful auras of Lu Ming and the others. Therefore, he couldn't truly sense the strength of Lu Ming and the others. As for him, he had full confidence in the fighting strength of a divine lord. He had once been a 9th-layer god emperor for more than 100 stellar years before breaking through to the divine lord realm by chance. The moment he broke through to the divine lord realm, he felt his fighting strength skyrocket. He felt that the divine lord realm was much stronger than the god emperor realm. He didn't believe that someone at the god emperor realm could fight against someone at the divine lord realm. He had heard that a 9th-layer god emperor with 9-star fighting strength could fight against an ordinary divine lord. However, he still didn't believe it, and thought that the rumors were exaggerated. This was the blind confidence that powerful strength gave him. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to scram. If you don't, then don't. Wan Shen shouted coldly, his face darkening as killing intent appeared. What a big tone. I'd like to see how you're going to make me scram. The old man sneered. Before Wan Shen could start the countdown, his figure flashed and he pounced on Wan Shen. Boom. He punched out, his fist energy condensing into a towering mountain that pressed down on Wan Shen. Chapter 4474. Paltry Tricks. Myriad God bellowed coldly as he punched out as well, striking the mountain. Boom. The mountain exploded, but Wan Shen continued to charge at the elder. He reached out and grabbed at the air, causing a massive stone gate to appear. This was the origin secret technique, the God's Gate. The God's Gate was massive, and Wan Shen grabbed it and smashed it at the elder. Sensing the berserk power of the God's Gate, the elder paled and hurriedly used all his strength to block. He punched out with both fists, condensing a star in the air. Boom. The star collided with the sovereign's gate, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Next, cracks appeared on the star, and then it exploded. The elder retreated, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He had been injured by Wan Shen in one move. Such strength, yet you're so blindly confident. You're far inferior to the celestial race's god lords. Wan Shen mocked. Indeed, they were both first-level god lords, but this elder's strength was far inferior to the celestial race's god lords. Wan Shen could even suppress a first-level god lord of the celestial race, let alone this elder. It was normal for him to injure him in one move. Bang. Wan Shen grabbed the God's Gate and took a step forward. The earth rumbled, and his aura surged toward the elder like a raging ocean. The elder was nearly frightened to death. He hurriedly yelled, "Wait a moment. It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding." He was truly frightened to death. Wan Shen's strength had far exceeded his expectations. He finally knew that the rumors were true. A 9th-level god emperor with 9-star combat strength could contend against the most ordinary first-level god lord. Although god lords were powerful, those monsters were even more heaven-defying. He had seen the recording of the competition in Zenith's Supreme Immortal City. Of the 4 people present, Wan Shen was not the strongest. Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were ranked above Wan Shen. One was first and the other was third. Wasn't this strength even more terrifying? He cursed himself in his heart. He shouldn't have been so greedy and confident to provoke these monsters. Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? The myriad god sneered. Everything just now was a misunderstanding. I was just testing your strength so that I could make better arrangements when dealing with the heavenly human tribe later. Now it has proven that your strength is beyond my imagination. So, I can rest assured. The old man was spouting nonsense without batting an eyelid. Don't spout nonsense. Die. Myriad god bellowed, and was about to attack. The old man's expression changed drastically. He turned around and ran. However, Lu Ming had unknowingly appeared behind this person, and pressed down with his palm. The old man hurriedly raised his fist to block. With a boom, half of the old man's body was trapped in the ground. Indeed, even more perverted. The old man roared in his heart, but his mouth was shouting, spare me, it's really a misunderstanding. He screamed miserably, tears almost falling out of his eyes. As a divine master, it was quite difficult for him to have such acting skills. Hand over your storage ring and I'll spare your life, Lu Ming said. He was just a first-tier divine master, and he wasn't that strong, so he didn't take him seriously. Ah, hand over your storage ring. The old man's expression changed drastically. He was about to cry. You won't hand it over? Then die. Myriad god shouted. I'll hand it over. In the end, the old man reluctantly handed over his storage ring to Myriad god. Scram. Myriad god waved his hand. The old man felt as if he had been pardoned. He turned around and ran, wailing in his heart. He was so regretful that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. Lu Ming, here you go. Myriad god tossed the old man's storage ring to Lu Ming. I only want the damaged divine weapon. The rest is yours. Lu Ming scanned the ring with his spiritual sense and found 2 damaged divine weapons. However, they were both main-grade divine weapons. Lu Ming put them away and returned the storage ring to Myriad god. Myriad god put it away without hesitation. With their relationship, there was no need for such courtesy. Lu Ming put away the damaged origin-grade divine weapon as well. This broken divine weapon looked like a mirror, made of ancient bronze. However, it was already broken, and a hole had appeared in the middle of it. Lu Ming's group of 4 found it hard to remain calm. An origin-grade divine weapon had a hole punched through it. It looked like it had been punched through by a finger. This was truly astonishing. What sort of existence could have such fighting strength? Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Myriad god all possessed origin-grade divine weapons, so they knew just how tough they were. They were completely indestructible. Let alone origin-grade divine weapons. Even main-grade divine weapons were extremely powerful. Unless they were struck by an origin-grade divine weapon, they would be very difficult to destroy. Needless to say, someone had punched through them with a finger. I'll eat, I want to eat. Upon seeing the origin-grade divine weapon, Qiu became extremely excited, its round body constantly twisting and turning. Qiu, this is an origin-grade divine weapon. Its spirituality is perfect. Can you really eat it? Lu Ming asked. Origin-grade divine weapons were not to be underestimated. The materials used to forge them were even more extraordinary, and contained an astonishing amount of energy. He was afraid that after Qiu ate it, not only would it not be able to digest it, but it would also cause major problems. Direction. I have a feeling that I can even digest an origin-grade divine weapon in perfect condition. Why don't you give me an origin-grade divine weapon in perfect condition? Qiu revealed a row of neat rows of teeth, looking very cunning. Go away, go away. Lu Ming unexpectedly kicked Qiu away, then threw the damaged origin-grade divine weapon to Qiu. As for the 2 main-grade divine weapons he had obtained from the Divine Lord Realm Elder, Lu Ming did not give them to Qiu. He was really afraid that Qiu would not be able to digest them and die from overeating. Then they continued forward and continued their search. This underground space was truly extraordinary. They concluded that this was the place where the Life Soul Heavenly Court used to bury the damaged divine weapons of the Life Soul Heavenly Court experts. Therefore, a large formation had been set up here, which contained rich divine weapons and metal qi. It was used to nurture the divine weapons. Therefore, even after so many years, the damaged divine weapons here were still as good as new. with their spirituality intact. Next, Lu Ming and the others gained quite a lot. They found another 5 main-grade divine weapons and 1 origin-grade divine weapon. In that case, Lu Ming would have 7 master-level incomplete divine weapons and 1 source-level incomplete divine weapon. Lu Ming put away all the main-grade divine weapons they found. He did not give them to Qiuqiu. One could not become fat in one bite. It was better to take it slowly. After that, they did not gain much, because the other big boxes had been found by others before them. I really don't know how many damaged divine weapons there are, especially the origin-grade divine weapons, Lu Ming thought, feeling a little excited, but then he shook his head. It was just a thought. With their strength, they could not eat all the damaged divine weapons. Chapter 4475. After some time, Lu Ming and the others returned to the entrance. The others had also returned. However, Lu Ming discovered that some people were still missing. 6 people were missing. One of them was a first-level divine lord. Everyone looked at each other, knowing what was going on. Those missing people must have been killed by others while fighting over the divine weapon fragment. However, no one said anything. We've finished exploring this place. Let's go, Chui said. Everyone nodded and left together, continuing onward. Soon 10 some days had passed. The fog descended once more, shrouding the ancient city in a thick fog. This time, everyone was a lot bolder. This was because they had already left the celestial race. There were no longer any celestial race cultivators in this region. In the fog, the group once more distanced themselves from each other. After the divine weapon fragment, everyone's minds became active once more. If they could find such a treasure ground by themselves and not share it with others, wouldn't that be great? Only Lu Ming's group of 4 and Dark Knight Rose's group did not separate. Instead, they moved together. Sure enough, before long something happened. Half a day after the fog had risen, several miserable screams resounded through the region. Everyone was shocked and rushed over to take a look. In the end, they saw a corpse lying on the ground, no longer breathing. A one-hit kill. Just like before, it was a one-hit kill. One of them was a first-level divine lord. Damn it. What's going on? Isn't there no celestial race cultivators in this region? How could someone be killed? Someone roared, on the verge of a mental breakdown. Was it done by one of our own? Someone asked. Everyone's hearts immediately rose to their throats. Their figures flickered as they maintained their distance from the others. Moreover, everyone was looking at the remaining Divine Lord experts, especially the 3 second-level Divine Lords. It really was possible that one of them had done it. There was an extremely high possibility that they had secretly killed others and seized their natal soul origin stone fragments. And the most likely possibility was that the 3 second-level Divine Lords had done it. Only they were capable of killing a first-layer Divine Lord in a single strike when their opponent was caught off guard. It was very difficult for a first-level Divine Master to do so. Everyone, don't fall into their trap. Perhaps this is the celestial race's plan. They want us to be suspicious of each other and panic, so that they can take advantage of us. Chui shouted. Heavenly Human Tribe? Where was the Heavenly Human Tribe? We didn't encounter any heavenly humans along the way. Someone said. But the residual energy in their wounds is clearly the energy of the heavens. How do you explain that? Chui said. Everyone fell silent. That's right. The remnant energy in these people's wounds was indeed the energy of the heavens. This point was undeniable. As for the heavenly energy, only the people of the heavenly human clan were capable of controlling it. The people of the other clans were unable to control it. Could it be that the heavenly human race really did it? He has mastered a terrifying concealment technique and is hiding in the dark to watch us? Someone said. His voice was trembling and filled with fear. Hearing this, the others also felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if there was a pair of eyes staring at them in the dark, causing them to feel a chill down their spines. Could it really be so? Was there a terrifying heavenly human tribe elite watching them from the dark? Or could it be that the murderer was one of them? For a moment, it was difficult for everyone to tell who was real and who was fake. They only felt that there was danger everywhere around them. I think we'd better wait here and wait for the fog to recede. It won't be too late to take action then, a young man said. He and a few of his subordinates sat cross-legged on the spot, and did not intend to leave. Now it was safer to stay where they were and keep a distance from the others. At the same time, they also looked around. In this way, whether it was the heavenly human tribe or their own people, they could be on guard. I also think that's the best way. Let's wait for the fog to recede before we leave. The others also did the same. They sat where they were and kept a distance from the others. However, the distance was not that far. Once there was a movement, the others could immediately support them. Lu Ming Anya rose, and the others looked at each other, and also sat where they were. The scene suddenly became extremely quiet. In my opinion, the murderer is among us. At that moment Anya Rose spoke. However, she did not speak to everyone. Instead, she spoke to Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Di Jiani, and the others. Her voice was only heard by the two groups of people. Oh, how do you know? Wan Shen's eyes moved and he also sent a voice transmission. Lu Ming has checked before. Lu Ming, you should have found something, right? Anya Rose said. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Di Jiani, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiao Wuji, and the other three young men could not help but look at Lu Ming. That's right. I also think that the murderer is not from the heavenly human tribe. He is among this group of people. Because although there is residual heaven's power in their wounds, there is also a trace of death qi in the residual heaven's power. Although it is faint, it can be discovered if one observes carefully. Lu Ming said, and he continued to send a voice transmission. Since he suspected that the murderer was among this group of people, he naturally could not let others hear it. Death qi. What does this mean? Wan Shen asked. However, there were a few people whose eyes lit up as though they had thought of something. For example, Xian Yanqing and Di Jiani. Death qi, it means that the owner of heaven's power is dead. However, a dead person would not kill. This time, it was Anya Rose who was alive. Then Wan Shen and the others who did not understand initially had their eyes lit up. I know. Someone made use of the dead heavenly human tribe members to kill and steal the vitality stone fragments. Wan Shen said. That's right. Although I don't know what means they used, this is probably the reason. Otherwise, even if they have some hidden means, they wouldn't be able to appear and disappear so stealthily that we did not notice at all. It could only be done by one of our own. The other party's guard was lower and hence, they could kill in one blow. The most likely culprits would be the 3 second Heaven Divine Masters. Lu Ming said. What should we do next? Wan Shen asked. Get rid of this person. Otherwise it will be difficult for us to move about. We have many vitality stone fragments in our hands, and will definitely be targeted by this person. Even if we leave now, this person will follow us and secretly ambush us. This time, it was Anya Rose who spoke. Get rid of this person? The other party might be a second Heaven Divine Master. To put it bluntly, even if all of us join forces, we might not be able to kill a second Heaven Divine Master expert. Lu Ming said. Under normal circumstances it would be impossible. However, if we plan carefully and work together with Xian Yanqing and I, it might not be impossible. Anya Rose said. Chapter 4476. You teamed up with Little Qing? Lu Ming was puzzled, and so were the others. Of course, Xian Yanqing was the only exception. She and I have a joint attack technique. Once we use it, its power is astonishing. With our current strength, we can even kill a second-tier Divine Lord. Dark Knight Rose explained. Everyone's hearts trembled. Dark Knight Rose and Xian Yanqing had a joint attack technique that could unleash such astonishing power. In truth, joint attack techniques that could increase one's power were very difficult to cultivate and were very rare. Only after many years of cooperation and telepathy could one unleash the full potential of each person's talent. Only then could it be considered a truly powerful joint attack technique. That kind of cooperation through a formation could not be called a true joint attack technique. It was just a kind of formation. Lu Ming had seen Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan use a joint attack technique. Could Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose use it as well? It was very likely. After all, their relationship in his previous life was similar to his relationship with Qiuqiu. It was just that they had spent much more time together. It was normal for them to be able to use a joint attack technique. Xian Yanqing nodded silently, clearly agreeing with Dark Knight Rose's words. But we don't even know who our opponent is. Even if we have a joint attack technique, we can't use it. How can we lure the murderer out? Myriad God asked. The murderer wants the natal spirit stone fragments. As long as we give the murderer an opportunity to attack, won't he come out? Dark Knight Rose said. You want someone to be the bait, but in the current situation, if you deliberately use them as bait, the murderer will probably be suspicious and won't fall for it easily. Lu Ming said. Everyone was in danger and doubted the people around them. If they did something strange, such as deliberately leaving to be the bait, the murderer would most likely be suspicious. Because in the current situation, it was not normal for one or two people to deliberately leave. Anyone with a brain would suspect that there was something fishy going on. There are two conditions to lure out the culprit. First, the natal spirit stone fragments. Only with enough natal spirit stone fragments will it be attractive enough. Secondly, there needs to be a suitable reason. Therefore, we can only rely on Lu Ming and me. Dark Knight Rose smiled. The two of us have enough life spirit primordial stone fragments. But how can we leave without arousing suspicion? Lu Ming said. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. Dry wood and blazing fire. Is there a better reason than this to sneak away? Dark Knight Rose said, staring at Lu Ming with her big watery eyes. Lu Ming was speechless. The others were also speechless, especially Autumn Moon and Xian Yanqing. They looked at Dark Knight Rose with hostility. I think we should use other methods, Lu Ming said. Is there a better way? Tell me. Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was silent. To be honest, there was no better reason than this. Using other methods would seem too deliberate, and the culprit might not be fooled. But this method. Are you afraid that your woman will be jealous? Ha ha ha, we're not doing anything. We're just leaving for a while to lure the culprit out. As long as the culprit shows up, we'll immediately send a signal, and the others will arrive to suppress the culprit. It's that simple. Why are you hesitating? Are you a man or not? Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was speechless. Lu Ming, I think this plan is feasible, Xian Yanqing suddenly said. Young master, I think so too. Autumn Moon also quickly expressed her opinion, as if she was afraid of falling behind. Lu Ming, your woman has already expressed her opinion. What are you still hesitating for? Are you a man or not? Dark Knight Rose said. He had been repeatedly questioned if he was a man. Lu Ming really wanted to yell. Do you want to test it? Of course, it was just a thought. What else could Lu Ming say? In the end, he naturally agreed. Then, everyone discussed the steps and details of the plan. After ensuring that it was foolproof, they began to act. After waiting for a few hours, Lu Ming and the Dark Knight Rose used the excuse of checking out the surrounding situation to leave and explore the surroundings. After the two of them searched around, they went in a direction and disappeared into the fog. Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose came to a dilapidated building dozens of miles away. Let's hope that the culprit will come, Lu Ming said, of course, using voice transmission. Before he finished speaking, a fragrance wafted over. Dark Knight Rose approached, and was almost leaning against him. You. What are you doing? Lu Ming asked subconsciously. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. If you want to act, you naturally have to act more realistically. Otherwise, how will the other party believe you? Dark Knight Rose said in Lu Ming's ear. Her warm breath blew into Lu Ming's ear. As soon as she finished speaking, Dark Knight Rose fell into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming suddenly felt a little uneasy. Dark Knight Rose's seduction was not just for show. It was top-notch in the universe. You. Don't go too far. Don't go too far. It's enough, Lu Ming said. His voice was a little hoarse. It seems that I misunderstood you before. Now it proves that you are really a man, Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was speechless. Coming. Suddenly, Dark Knight Rose said two words in Lu Ming's ear. Her body flashed and she quickly retreated. At the same time, she waved her hand and the petals of the sky-devouring rose flew out. Lu Ming's reaction was also very fast. He immediately withdrew from his uneasy state and flicked his fingers. Rays of spear light burst out and flew into the surrounding fog. Dang dang dang. A series of explosions sounded. Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose's attacks were directly defeated. Then several terrifying rays of sword light slashed toward the two of them. It was too fast, and its power was astonishing. Second-level Divine Master. As soon as they exchanged blows, the two of them could tell that the person attacking them was definitely a second-level Divine Master expert. The two of them had attacked hastily, so it was normal that they could not block it. However, the two of them had been in a state of alert, ready to attack at any time, so their reaction was also very fast. With a thought, their killing weapons appeared. Lu Ming held the obsidian staff and poured forbidden energy into it. The obsidian staff quickly enlarged and swept out, colliding with a ray of sword light. With a clang, the obsidian staff vibrated, and Lu Ming's figure retreated. On the other side, Dark Knight Rose activated her saber, and also retreated after exchanging a blow with the other party. However, the two of them had caused a huge commotion and alarmed the others. Something's happening. Let's go take a look. Those experts rushed toward Lu Ming's side. They covered the distance of several dozen miles in an instant. As for the expert in the dark, when he saw that he could not kill Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose in a few moves, he wanted to retreat. However, Lu Ming's side was already prepared. Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward and brilliant rays of light erupted from the ground. Dozens of ancient mystic skills were unleashed. Great sealing art, great binding art. Chapter 4477. Dozens of secret techniques, all of which were secret techniques for trapping the enemy, shot toward the being in the fog. At the same time, Anya Rose took action. In the air there was a huge sky-devouring rose. In the middle of the flower, there was a black hole that spun continuously and exploded with terrifying devouring power. The devouring power was continuously devouring the being in the fog. The purpose of double bind was to slow down the speed of the other party. However, the other party was really strong. With a roar, sword chi burst out and broke through Lu Ming's ancient secret skill. He broke through the devouring power of the sky-devouring rose and wanted to leave. However, he was still held back for a while. At that moment, there were suddenly attacks coming from the direction where the other party was escaping. A pitch-black iron rod, a rusty iron sword and a black lotus. It was Xian Yinqing, Wan Shen, Di Jiani and the rest who had taken action. They were prepared. When they heard that Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the other party were exchanging blows, they did not hesitate and rushed towards Lu Ming and the rest. They were faster than the rest. However, they did not appear immediately. Instead, they changed their position in the fog and appeared in the direction where the other party might have retreated. At the crucial moment, they launched an attack. Xian Yinqing, Wan Shen, Autumn Moon, Di Jiani, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiao Wuji and the other three supreme talents. A total of 10 young experts joined forces, and the power was shocking. They successfully blocked the other party's sword light and stopped him from retreating. Chui, it's you. At that moment, Lu Ming and Anya Rose were close to the other party, and they saw the other party's face. The person was Chui, one of the 3 experts in the second level of the Divine Master realm. Little brat, it was you guys who set this up. I'm going to kill you. Chui bellowed. He controlled his voice well, and only Lu Ming and the rest could hear him. However, the fog was tumbling and more people had arrived. They were the other experts. These people saw Chui and Lu Ming and the rest. Everyone, Chui is the one who secretly killed and stole the natal spirit stones. Let's work together and kill him. Lu Ming shouted. It's him. As expected, the murderer is among us. Damn it, kill him. The others were enraged when they heard this. Everyone, don't listen to this little bastard's nonsense. He's slandering us. Actually, the culprits are in cahoots with them. Chui shouted, wanting to bite back. Our group is ridiculous. The strongest cultivator in our group is of the 9th Great Supreme God layer. How could he kill a cultivator of the 1st Divine Master layer in one strike? Lu Ming retorted with a sneer. That's hard to say. Everyone knows that you're all peerless geniuses with powerful combat strength. Furthermore, you might be hiding some special techniques. Furthermore, it's precisely because your cultivation is low that others won't guard against you. It's not impossible for them to be killed by you in a single strike. Chui continued to quibble. It had to be said that this old man's ability to quibble was quite impressive. However, Lu Ming was also an expert in this aspect. He had never been afraid of anyone in this aspect. It's useless to say so much. Why don't you open up your storage rings and sea of consciousness, and let everyone check? Won't we know who has the fragments of the natal soul primordial stones of those killed? Oh, and the storage rings of those killed seem to have been taken away as well. We can check them all together, Lu Ming said. This is a good suggestion. We'll know who the murderer is once we check. Another expert of the second divine master layer said. I object. Storage rings and sea of consciousness are a cultivator's greatest secrets. How can we let others check them? Chu Yi said coldly. What? Feeling guilty? Lu Ming countered. The others also looked at Chu Yi with unfriendly eyes. What guilty? I object to this suggestion. Since none of you believe me, I'll just leave. Chu Yi said coldly and turned to leave. You still want to leave? You still want to hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to kill us and steal the fragments of the natal soul primordial stones? Everyone, don't let him leave, or else we'll all be in danger. Lu Ming bellowed. As expected, the others paled, and their bodies flickered as they surrounded Chu Yi. Lu Ming is right. If we don't make things clear today, no one can leave. Today we must get to the bottom of this. The crowd shouted. The person who had attacked them in the dark was too dangerous. If it really was Chu Yi, they would be in constant danger if they let him go. Thus, even if there was something suspicious about Chu Yi, they could not let him leave. Moreover, Chu Yi was currently the most suspicious. Compared to Lu Ming's group, the crowd was more convinced that Chu Yi was the murderer. After all, he was a genuine second-level divine master. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, Chu Yi suddenly laughed loudly. His laughter was somewhat sinister. I originally wanted to deal with all of you one by one, but since all of you insist on seeking death, I'll deal with all of you together. Chu Yi's cold voice echoed through the air. Chu Yi, it really was you. Damn it. Chu Yi, you've got some nerve. If you commit suicide now, we'll leave your corpse intact. The crowd roared, unable to restrain their anger. It turned out that the murderer really was Chu Yi. The crowd stared at Chu Yi with murderous intent. Commit suicide? Ha ha ha, how laughable. Did you think that you could deal with me with just a few of you? Let me tell you, from start to finish, I have never used my full strength. Now let me show you my true fighting strength. Chu Yi laughed, his aura growing stronger and stronger. Although he had not reached the third level of the Divine Master realm, he was still a peak second-level Divine Master. At the same time, a terrifying sword light shot out of Chu Yi's body. All of you will die. Kill. Chu Yi roared as his sword light trembled. Immediately, dense sword chi swept out in all directions, enveloping everyone with frightening power. Careful. All of you retreat. The remaining Divine Master realm experts shouted and stepped forward. They used their secret techniques to protect the people below the Divine Master realm. At the same time, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others also launched their own attacks, clashing with the sword chi. Boom. Boom. There was a violent explosion. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya rose, and the rest trembled violently and could not help but retreat. Those with weaker fighting strength, such as Qiu Moon and Yin Jiuling, vomited several mouthfuls of blood. In another direction, of the 4 Divine Masters, 2 were first-level Divine Masters, and they screamed as they retreated. Several terrifying wounds had appeared on their bodies, blood gushing out from them. The 2 second-level Divine Masters fared better, but they were also forced back. Chu Yi, your fighting strength. How is this possible? A second-level Divine Master roared. End of this chapter. Chapter 4478. Chu Yi's fighting strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. Although Chu Yi's fighting strength had been very strong, it had only been a little stronger than the other 2 second-level God Lords. But in the clash just now, Chu Yi's fighting strength was not just a little stronger than the other 2 second-level God Lords. It was a whole level higher. Even when so many people worked together, he had still managed to suppress them. Why do you think I was able to obtain the acknowledgement of the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment? This is because when I was young, I was also a peerless genius. If I hadn't encountered a great disaster that slowed down my cultivation, my current cultivation would have been far more than second-tier Divine Lord. I would have long since become a high-level Divine Lord. You people think that you can kill me? Today I will eliminate all of you. Chui roared, his face turning even more savage, and the sword light on his body grew even stronger. Clang! With the clanging of swords, Chuyi's body flickered as he swung his sword, unleashing one sword light after another. All of you fall back. A second-level God Lord shouted, ordering those below the God Lord level to fall back. He erupted with all his strength, taking out a golden pagoda and thrusting it forward. The other 3 God Lord experts also went all out, using their ultimate moves. Lu Ming and the rest also constantly activated their powerful killing weapons and charged toward Chu Yi. As they attacked, Lu Ming shielded Qiuyu behind him. Amongst the 4 of them, Qiuyu was the weakest, so Lu Ming could not let Qiuyu take the risk. In this clash, Lu Ming and the others were still no match. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Wan Shen, Dark Knight Rose, and the others all retreated, their bodies covered in sword wounds from which blood seeped out. They had been injured by sword qi. They still had their source-level divine weapons to block, so their situation was somewhat better, but the God Lords were in dire straits. This was especially true for the 2 first-level God Lords. One of them was heavily injured, his body in tatters. As for the other, he had his forehead pierced by sword light and died on the spot. Kill, kill, all of you must die, especially you, Chui shouted, his cold gaze fixed on Lu Ming and the others, especially the source-grade divine weapons in Lu Ming's hands. Greed and greed flashed in his eyes as he said, "After I kill you, your source-grade divine weapons will all be mine, ha ha ha." Chui laughed, and the sword light moved. "Today, the one who will die will be you." At this moment, a cold voice sounded. It was Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose had appeared behind Chui at some point. Kill. As for Xian Yinqing, he stood in front of Chui and shouted. His hands formed a seal, and his body emitted a shocking demonic aura. At the same time, Dark Knight Rose was also wrapped in a mysterious energy, which resonated with Xian Yinqing's devil qi. Devil Devour. Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose shouted at the same time, and pushed their hands forward. Whoosh! Whoosh! The heavens and earth roared, and energy surged. Then, a black lotus appeared under Chuyi's feet. The huge black lotus emitted a dense demonic light, and a huge flower appeared above Chuyi's head. It was the sky-devouring rose. The 2 flowers, one above and one below, connected with each other in multicolored light, producing a terrifying energy that instantly enveloped Chuyi. This energy was like a field that was terrifying and could destroy everything. Chuyi's body shook violently, and the divine power protecting his body shook violently. It was like ice meeting fire, and it melted quickly. Not only that, but Chuyi's body, skin, and flesh were also melting. In an instant, Chuyi's appearance became unbearable to look at. Ah! Chuyi shouted, and his divine power surged in all directions. He wanted to break through the field around him, and break through Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose's joint attack. However, the divine power he unleashed was also melted by this field. Break! 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 Chui roared, and a frenzied sword intent surged out of his body, transforming into sharp sword light that slashed at the sky-devouring rose. Brum! The sword light clashed with the field, creating terrifying sounds of friction and explosions. Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose began to tremble. What are you standing around for? Hurry up and kill him. We can't hold on much longer. Dark Knight Rose roared. Chuyi's divine power was far above her expectations. Given her and Xian Yinqing's current cultivation, they could kill an ordinary second-level divine lord if they used a joint attack. If the other 2 second-layer divine masters got caught in their joint attack, they would definitely die. They would be turned into ashes by the terrifying field energy. However, Chui was much stronger than an ordinary second-level divine lord. The 2 of them could only trap him for a moment, but they couldn't kill him. Attack! Lu Ming roared, activating the mysterious ice staff with all his strength to attack Chui. Myriad God, Emperor Jiani, and the others also attacked Chui with all their strength. The 2 second-level God Lord experts seemed to have woken up from a dream, and used their strongest moves to attack Chu-yi. At this moment, Chu-yi was trapped and had to use all his strength to resist the terrifying field energy. There was no way he could block their attacks, but if they hit him, they would definitely be able to kill him. You want to kill me? Dream on. Doppelganger, come out. Chu-yi roared, and two figures suddenly charged out of his body. One of the figures was a skeleton that was as white as jade and carried 5 bone swords on its back. White Bone waved its hand, and the 5 bone swords flew out, rapidly growing in size as they charged at Lu Ming's group. The other figure had a head of golden hair. It was a large man from the celestial race. He held a golden sword in his hand, and sent out several sword lights at the 2 second-level God Lord experts. Boom. Clang. 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 The attacks of Lu Ming's group were blocked by the 2 figures. These bone swords, the one who attacked us earlier was him. The eyes of Lu Ming, Myriad God, and the others flashed. Before encountering Anya Rose's group, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Myriad God had been ambushed. The attacker had used a white bone claw and a bone sword to attack them. Now it seemed like it was Chu-yi's doing. This skeleton's attack was exactly the same as the one that had ambushed them. In addition, Emperor Jianyi and the others had gloomy expressions because they had also been ambushed by this skeleton. And that celestial race. Everyone's gaze turned toward the large man from the celestial race. The large man from the celestial race had his eyes closed, and there was no sign of life on his body. He was clearly a corpse. These were all Chu-yi's doppelganger puppets. The wounds of the people who had been ambushed had traces of heaven's power. It was obvious that Chu-yi had controlled the doppelganger puppets to attack. That was why there were traces of heaven's power in their wounds. He had used this method to bluff his way out and push all the blame to the celestial race. However, this celestial race member was dead, so there was a trace of death chi in his heaven's power. Lu Ming and Anya Rose had detected it. This was something that Chu-yi had not expected. Chapter 4479. It was precisely because Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose had realized that the celestial race wasn't responsible that they had set up this trap and drawn out Chu-yi. Upon seeing the corpse of the celestial race expert, there was no need for explanation. Everyone understood. Kill. Kill. Lu Ming's group launched a second attack. However, this attack was blocked by Chu-yi's 2 doppelganger puppets. Although the 2 doppelganger puppets were injured, Lu Ming and the rest did not manage to break through their defenses for the time being. Chu-yi struggled with all his strength, causing Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose to tremble even more. If this continued, they really wouldn't be able to hold on. Once I come out, it'll be the time of your deaths. Chu-yi roared, his face savage. Dark Knight Rose, Little Qing. Use your origin energy to launch your strongest attack. Lu Ming messaged Dark Knight Rose and Xian Yanqing. Okay. The 2 replied, preparing to use their trump cards. Seniors, if we don't go all out now, when will we? Lu Ming roared at the 2 second-level God Lords. These 2 second-level God Lords were very important, as they were the main offensive force. Without them holding down Chu-yi, they were even less of a match. The 2 of them hesitated for a moment before nodding, decisive looks on their faces. Boom. Boom. The 2 second-level God Lords exploded with powerful energy. This was divine power burning. The 2 of them were truly putting their lives on the line. At the same time, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Dark Knight Rose began to mobilize their origin energy. Dark Knight Rose had been at the same level as Xian Yanqing, a second-level God Lord. Thus, the origin energy she controlled was not any weaker than Xian Yanqing's, so she could also use an attack. Devil Devour. Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose roared as they used their origin energy in this joint attack. With the addition of the origin energy, the power of the joint attack technique increased a little. That terrifying field energy was even stronger. Chu-yi's body trembled, and the sword energy he had unleashed trembled and almost collapsed. Kill. Kill. Lu Ming and the others launched another attack. This time, the 2 second-layer Divine Master experts burned their divine power and went all out to launch their strongest attacks. The power was astonishing, and Chu-yi had no choice but to divert even more of his energy to control the celestial race doppelganger puppet, to resist the 2 second-layer Divine Master experts. In that case, the strength of the other skeleton would be slightly weaker. Boom. The attacks of the two second-level god lords clashed with the avatar of the celestial race. After a few loud booms, the heavenly human tribe's doppelganger puppet was sent flying. However, the attacks of the two second-level divine lords were also blocked. Following that, Lu Ming, Wan Shun, and the others' attacks also collided with the puppet. It was like metal clashing against metal, and energy rippled out in all directions. The attacks of Lu Ming and the others also froze. Lu Ming's mysterious ice rod, Wan Shun's black iron rod, and Emperor Jiani's rusty battle sword were all blocked by Skeleton's bone sword. Ha ha ha, you still want to kill me? Seeing the attacks of Lu Ming and the others being blocked, Chui laughed arrogantly. The desperate attacks of Lu Ming and the others had been blocked by Skeleton. Let's see what else they can use to fight him. At this moment, Origin. Lu Ming inwardly roared. The Origin seed trembled, and the Origin energy within it flowed along his arm and into the mysterious ice rod. The mysterious ice rod was an Origin-level divine weapon, and the addition of the Origin energy was like adding oil to a fire, causing it to explode. Boom. The mysterious ice rod violently shuddered, and a powerful energy erupted from it and struck the bone sword. Kacha! The bone sword shattered, and the mysterious ice rod smashed into Skeleton's body. With a bang, Skeleton's body exploded. The mysterious ice rod did not stop and continued to bombard Chu-Yi. Chu-Yi's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "Damn it! How is this possible? This is the power of Origin." He was really shocked, and he also knew that he had underestimated Lu Ming's strength. Lu Ming had been hiding his trump card before. Damn it! At the same time, he wanted to use his strength to resist, but how could Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose let him do as he wished? They tried their best to operate the joint attack technique to suppress Chu-Yi. Chu-Yi was just about to divert some of his strength to resist Lu Ming's attack, but that terrifying field energy took advantage of it. Chu-Yi's body quickly melted, and he was so scared that he hurriedly circulated his strength to resist. However, the mysterious ice rod did not stop, and directly smashed down. Boom. The mysterious ice rod solidly smashed onto Chu-Yi's body. Chu-Yi let out a blood-curdling scream as his body flew out like a meteor and smashed into the ground, creating a large crater. But he did not stop. His body continued to slide backwards, creating a deep ditch on the ground. He kept sliding backward for tens of thousands of meters before stopping. All the bones and muscles in his body had been completely shattered. They were in tatters, and it was unbearable to look at. His head had almost exploded, and cracks had appeared on the universe bridge in his sea of consciousness. With such serious injuries, Chu-Yi could no longer fight. This Chu-Yi was really strong. When he was young, he was definitely a top genius who could crush people of the same level. Even the heavenly human tribe people of the same level could not compare to him. The second-level divine master heavenly human tribe that Lu Ming had met before definitely did not have such strength. Just like he had said, if it were not for the problem, his cultivation would be much higher than this. Speaking of which, the Life Spirit Essence Stone Fragment was not something that only outstanding talents would recognize. But in the end, Chu-Yi was still defeated by Lu Ming and the others. Chu-Yi lay in the large pit, spitting out blood, and his eyes were full of unwillingness and despair. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone's figures flashed and they surrounded Chu-Yi. Chu-Yi, you are doomed to death for your sins. Today we will kill you. A second-level divine master elder said coldly, and his killing intent was thick. If you kill me, how will you divide the life spirit origin stone fragments in my body? The life spirit origin stone fragments are in the storage ring on my finger. Chu-Yi roared. These words caused the second-level divine master expert's expressions to change, and their eyes flickered. Yes, after killing Chu-Yi, how would they divide the life spirit origin stone fragments in his body? You still want to sow discord at this time? Everyone, we can discuss the life spirit origin stone fragments after we kill Chu-Yi. But now, we can't fall into his trap. Lu Ming said. The two second-level divine master experts were shocked and came back to their senses. They thought to themselves that they had almost fallen into Chu-Yi's trap. If they had fought out of greed, it would only have benefited Chu-Yi. If Chu-Yi escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. This little bastard. Chui roared in his heart, wishing that he could cut Lu Ming into pieces. Die. A second-level Divine Master Elder stepped forward, about to attack. Everyone, wait a moment. I have a huge secret, Chui roared. Chapter 4480. Chui roared, causing the second-level Divine Master to stop in his tracks. Speak, what secret? The second-level Divine Master coldly demanded. It's the secret of the Heavenly Court. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you, Chui said. You still want to use this method to survive? Ridiculous. Besides, who knows if the secret you're talking about is true? Lu Ming sneered and said to the others, Everyone, I still think it's better to kill this person. Don't fall into his trap. Once you let him go, there will be endless trouble in the future. Damn it, damn little bastard. Chui roared in his heart. His little scheme had been seen through by Lu Ming time and time again. He really hated Lu Ming to the bone. But there was nothing he could do. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the others revealed killing intent. He could only roar again. I'm telling the truth, absolutely true. It's the secret of the Heavenly Court. You know about the 3 supreme treasures of the Heavenly Court, right? I know where one of them is hidden. What? Upon hearing this, not only the others but even Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others were shocked. The life spirit was the ultimate treasure of the celestial court. This phrase was too tempting. Chui actually knew where one of the supreme treasures of the Heavenly Court was hidden? Nonsense. Who knows if you're telling the truth or not? This time, it was the second-level Divine Master who spoke. I can swear on my life origin that it's absolutely true. Also, I have a map of the Heavenly Court marked with the specific location of the treasure. It's hidden in my sea of consciousness. As long as you promise to spare my life, I can give it to you. Otherwise, I'll just destroy my sea of consciousness. That map is fragile and can be easily destroyed by me, Chui said. Map. Haha, Chui, it's often foggy here, making it difficult to tell directions. We can't even find the right direction. You have a map. This lie is too low level. Lu Ming sneered. The others' faces also darkened. Indeed, this lie was too low level. The life spirit Heavenly Court was too big, and fog would appear every once in a while. It was like a maze. It was a joke that Chui would have a map. You all have just entered, so it's naturally difficult for you to determine the direction. However, I have already been here for 300,000 years. How could I not know? I am extremely familiar with this place. Even in the fog, I will be able to find the right path, Chui said. What? You've been here for 300,000 years? This time, Lu Ming and the others were really shocked. Originally, they thought that Chui came in with them. They really did not expect that Chui had already come in. Yes, when I was young, I had a great battle and damaged my foundation, causing my cultivation to progress extremely slowly. I was unwilling to give up, so I spent my whole life studying the life spirit Heavenly Court. The purpose was to find treasures to achieve a transformation and restore my potential and talent. Finally, 300,000 years ago, I found a clue and entered the life spirit Heavenly Court. Unfortunately, the ancient land of the life spirit Heavenly Court cannot be entered by a fragment of the life spirit primordial stone. Only by gathering many fragments of the life spirit meteorite can one enter. Especially the place that contains the treasures of the life spirit Heavenly Court. Many fragments of the life spirit primordial stone are needed. Although I came in early, it was useless. I could only waste time. It wasn't until 3,000 years ago that the heavenly human tribe entered that I became cautious. I hid in the dark and waited for an opportunity to kill a few of them. After that, I waited until now. When you people entered, I knew that my opportunity had come. At this point, Chui stopped and did not continue, but everyone knew what he was going to say next. It was nothing more than pretending to be a newcomer like them. He would blend in with the crowd, secretly attack, seize the fragments of the life spirit primordial stone, and then go alone to obtain the treasures of the life spirit Heavenly Court. Chu Yi's words were indeed self-justifying, but everyone was still skeptical. If you don't believe me, I can swear with my life origin. Immediately, Chui swore with the origin of life that what he had just said was true. Seeing Chu-yi swear with his life origin, everyone had to believe him. Unless Chu-yi did not want to live anymore. But even if he did not want to live, there was no need to use such a method. Now, as long as you swear with your life origin that after I tell you the details of the location, you will spare my life, and I will tell you. I will also give you the map and the fragments of the life spirit primordial stone that I have, Chu-yi said. Okay, I promise you. Everyone, what do you think? A second layer divine master old man answered, looking at Lu Ming and the others. Obviously he was tempted. In fact, he was not the only one. Lu Ming and the others were also tempted. That was the supreme treasure of the heavenly court. In the universe, it was a top treasure, even more precious than the 18 divine weapons. Who would not be tempted? I also agree, Anya Rose said. Needless to say, she was also tempted. I agree. In the end, Lu Ming nodded. Chu-yi was overjoyed to see everyone agree. Then, Lu Ming and the others all swore with their life origin that they would spare Chu-yi's life as long as he handed over the life spirit primordial stone and the map. Good. Chu-yi was overjoyed, but a savage killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. He roared in his heart. As long as he survived this time, he would madly seek revenge after his injuries had healed. He had been here for 300,000 years, and could not be more familiar with this place. He could come and go freely in the fog. When the time came, he would take advantage of his familiarity with the terrain to hunt down all these people, especially Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the others. He would madly seek revenge, and make them regret their actions. Now hand over the map and the life spirit primordial stone fragment. A second-level god Lord Elder barked. Okay, I'll give it to you, Chu-yi said as his forehead shone. And a jade token flew out. The jade token was about the size of a palm, and one could see that the jade token was covered in fine carvings. The old man at the second-level divine master realm hurriedly grabbed the jade tablet. Everyone's eyes flashed, but they said nothing. The second-level god Lord Elder then poured his divine power into the jade token. The jade token shone, and a map appeared in the air. The map was very detailed, and there was a red dot on it that represented their current location. In addition, there was a yellow dot some distance away. That yellow dot is where the supreme treasure of the heavenly court is hidden. Chu-yi explained. Everyone's eyes burned with fervent light. It seemed like everything Chu-yi had said was true. As long as they followed the map, they would not get lost even in the fog. It wouldn't be long before they arrived at the location of the treasure. End of this chapter. Chapter 4481. Also, the Life Soul Origin Stone is in the storage ring on my finger. I'm injured and can't touch it, so you can take it, Chu-yi said. Immediately many people's eyes lit up. Bang. Bang. Several people stepped forward, wanting to take Chu-yi's storage ring, but they were all obstructed by each other's energies. Their energies erupted and clashed in the air, none of them willing to back down. The two second-tier God Lord experts in particular were exuding an intense fighting spirit as their energies clashed. Everyone, there are so many of us here that no one can take the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments for themselves. I suggest that we divide them equally. Once we reach the treasury of the supreme treasure of the heavenly court, we can take out the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments together and open the treasury. What do you think? Anya Rose suggested. The eyes of the two second-tier God Lord experts flashed. If an ordinary God Emperor dared to speak to them like this, dared to suggest splitting the fragments equally, they would have long since slapped him to death. A God Emperor dared to dream of being on equal footing with a God Lord? However, Anya Rose, Lu Ming, and the others were truly too terrifying and could not be judged by common sense. When they had surrounded Chu-yi, Xian Yinqing and the Dark Knight Rose had used a joint attack. It was so powerful that even they were terrified. They were afraid that if they were trapped, only death awaited them. And Lu Ming's strength was also unimaginable. Earlier, when they were dealing with Chu-yi, Lu Ming had defeated him with a surprise move, breaking through Chu-yi's defenses and capturing him. They were all monstrous geniuses. Although they were divine masters, they had no choice but to suppress their pride in front of these monstrous geniuses. Okay, then we'll listen to Miss Rose. The second-tier God Lord Elder smiled. The other second-tier God Lord expert also had no objections. Since the strongest experts of each group had no objections, the others had no objections either, nor did they dare to. A hint of disappointment appeared in Chu Yi's eyes. He had been hoping that Lu Ming and the others would fight over the Life-Soul Origin Stone fragments, but he hadn't expected it to end so easily. Several people worked together to take the storage ring from Chu Yi's hand. After opening it, they found several Life-Soul Origin Stone fragments. A total of 5 pieces. The forces represented by the 2 second-stage Divine Masters each got a piece of land. Lu Ming got one, while Dark Knight Rose got the other. The 5th piece was given to the last first-stage Divine Master. Everyone, I've given you first place and the Life Spirit Vitality Stone fragment. Can I leave now? Chu Yi said. The Divine Lord Realm existences all showed a hint of unwillingness. They really didn't want to let Chu Yi go, because if Chu Yi left, it would be very dangerous. However, for the sake of the Heavenly Court's most precious treasure, they had no choice but to swear on their life essence. They had no choice but to let it go now. Let you go? You're too naive. After we let you go, are we going to wait for you to take revenge on us? Lu Ming sneered. He clenched his fist and a long spear condensed in his hand. What? The Divine Lord Realm experts and Chu Yi were all stunned, looking at Lu Ming in shock. Could it be that Lu Ming wanted to break his oath and kill Chu Yi? Chu Yi reacted very quickly. He cried out, Lu Ming, what are you doing? Don't forget that you swore on your life essence that you can't kill me. If you kill me, you'll face a calamity and die. Do you want to die with me? Perish together with you? Haha, you're not worthy. Don't you know that reciprocity existences don't fear oaths on life essence? Lu Ming sneered. Cold killing intent erupted from his body, so dense that it seemed to be tangible. Those are reciprocity existences who control origin energy. You're just a god emperor. Chu Yi roared. However, his voice stopped abruptly. His eyes widened and a look of horror appeared in his eyes. Origin energy. The reason why reciprocity experts did not fear oaths on life essence was because of origin energy. However, Lu Ming had also mastered the power of origin. Earlier, Lu Ming had only managed to break through Chu Yi's defenses by erupting with origin energy. However, Chu Yi was in a hurry to save his life, so he did not think of this. Who would have thought that the other party would be able to use source energy to go against the life source oath when facing some god emperors? Subconsciously, they ignored it. But it was too late to think of it now. No, don't kill me. You can't break your oath. Chu Yi cried out in horror. He did not want to die. He had already found the life spirit heavenly court. As long as he killed Lu Ming and the others and obtained enough life spirit origin stone fragments, he might have a chance to recover his talent and potential and reach a higher realm. Therefore, he struggled frantically. Unfortunately, his injuries were very serious. Even if he had recovered a little, he could only barely move his body. Chu Yi, go well, Lu Ming said coldly as he stabbed out with his spear. Puff. The spear directly pierced through Chu Yi's forehead, killing him there. Chu Yi's eyes widened. He was unwilling to accept this. Good. The others shouted in their hearts. They did not dare to kill Chu Yi. Lu Ming had killed him. If they let Chu Yi go, they would not be able to sleep and eat in peace. As for whether Lu Ming could really resist the backlash of the oath on life essence, they were too lazy to care. It would be best if Lu Ming died from the backlash. Young master, is it really okay for you to kill him like this? Qiu Yu hurriedly asked, her small face full of nervousness and worry. Lu Ming, can your origin energy withstand it? Xian Yanqing also asked, also a little worried. She also used origin energy, but the amount was very small. She felt that she could not withstand the backlash of the oath on life essence. She was a little worried about whether Lu Ming could withstand it. Don't worry, the backlash of the oath on life essence will not happen now. It will happen later in the cultivation. I am confident that I can withstand it. Lu Ming said with a smile. The amount of origin energy he controlled was not small, although it was definitely not comparable to the existence of the origin realm. It should be able to withstand the backlash of the oath on life essence. Moreover, he had a forbidden body and controlled forbidden energy. Fei Huang once told him that forbidden energy also had a strong effect in resisting the backlash of the oath on life essence. With the combination of the two, Lu Ming was confident. Otherwise he would not take the risk so easily. Everyone, let's go, Lu Ming said. Then everyone set off. According to the map left by Chu Yi, they headed in the direction of the treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. With the map, their speed was very fast. At the same time, they did not encounter any more attacks. However, according to the map, the treasure was not far from them. In fact, it was a long way away. They were in the south of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, and the treasure was in the north. They had to cross almost half of the ancient city of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Along the way, everyone had their own thoughts. They were all thinking about a problem. How would they divide the treasure after obtaining it? Chapter 4482. There was only one treasure, so how could they split it? There were 7 or 8 groups of people here, and all of them wanted the treasure. Who should the treasure go to? Everyone's eyes flashed, each with their own thoughts. The 2 second-level divine lords even had killing intent in their eyes, but they quickly hid it. They really wanted to kill everyone else and take the treasure for themselves. However, when they thought about the strength of Lu Ming's group, they were extremely afraid. They didn't want to be killed by Lu Ming's group before they could kill Lu Ming's group. In truth, they weren't the only ones with such thoughts. Lu Ming, Dark Knight Rose, and the others also had such thoughts. They also wanted to kill everyone here. However, the other side had 2 second-level divine lords and 1 first-level divine lord. They wouldn't be so easy to deal with. As long as Xian Yanqing and the Dark Knight Rose's combined attack enveloped a second-layer divine master, only death would await them. However, there was still a second-level divine lord. Even if he recovered his origin energy and used all his strength, he still wouldn't be able to keep them here. If a few of them managed to escape with the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments, they wouldn't be able to gather enough Life Soul Origin Stone fragments. Even if they reached the treasury, it would be useless. Moreover, the other side was very wary of them. It wouldn't be easy to suddenly attack and kill one of them. In addition, they were only cooperating with Dark Knight Rose and weren't on the same side. Thus, they didn't attack. Everyone had their own misgivings and were wary of each other as they headed toward their destination. However, Lu Ming's group didn't know that their destination had long since been occupied by someone else, the celestial race. On the empty ground, there were many tall bronze statues. These bronze statues all looked like warriors. They were clad in armor and wielded swords. Each statue was tens of thousands of feet tall. There were 108 bronze statues on this plain. They were arranged in a strange pattern, forming an array. In the center of the bronze statue, there was a tall altar. 12 divine weapons floated around the altar. These 12 divine weapons were of different shapes and sizes. None of them were the same. Spear, sword, halberd, axe, battle axe, hook, fork, whip, truncheon, hammer, dagger, and saber. There were a total of 12 types. Each of them exuded a terrifying aura that resonated with the surrounding 108 bronze statues, increasing the power of the formation. A group of people was floating in the air of this region. There were about 30 of them. 12 of them had shocking auras, and they were all divine masters. Moreover, they were not ordinary divine masters. Their auras were much stronger than a first or second layer divine master. These were all existences at the 3rd level of the divine master realm or higher. The one in the center was even more terrifying. His aura was shocking, causing the void to tremble, forming an incomparably terrifying pressure. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely be shocked because this was an existence on the level of the Lord of Heaven. Only the strongest of the divine masters could be called the Lord of Heaven. Every Lord of Heaven was extremely powerful. Who would have thought that there would be a Lord of Heaven here? With the Lord of Heaven at the center, the 12 experts laid down a massive array. Powerful energy poured down as if they were trying to destroy the formation below and refine something. The 108 bronze statues and 12 divine weapons below had already dimmed. It seemed like they wouldn't be able to last much longer. Hunming, accept your fate. Even if you summon 12 divine weapons, it's useless. At most, you'll be able to struggle at death's door for a little longer. Sooner or later, we'll break through it. A man on the side coldly said. This man looked very young, only in his 20s, but his aura was astonishing. He was also a divine master. One naturally couldn't judge a person's age based on their appearance. Although he looked to be in his 20s, he was actually very old. At the very least, he wasn't a member of the younger generation. This was because no one in the younger generation had never been to the Grand Supreme Immortal City and had such a high cultivation. This person was speaking to the altar, as if the Hunming he spoke of was within the altar. However, there was no response from the altar. Hunming, 4 of the 18 divine weapons are in the hands of the Heavenly Palace. If the 18 divine weapons aren't complete, they won't be able to stop us. Also, if you want to summon the Vitality Stone fragments and reform them to strengthen yourself, you can stop dreaming. I've already sent people to hunt down those who control the fragments. Now half of the fragments are in my hands, so your fate is sealed. Hunming, you're the master of the Heavenly Palace. You've been struggling at death's door for so long, but in the end, you still have to strengthen me. I'll extract the remaining half of the taboo body from you and complete my taboo body. I, Yiwu, will be the first heavenly human to completely control the taboo body. The young man shouted. It turned out that this person was the Lord Yiwu that the heavenly humans had mentioned. How dare a heavenly human try to control the taboo power? How naive. You'll reap what you sow. This time around, a rough voice sounded from the altar. Merely, it sounded very weak. Ha ha ha, nothing is impossible. I've already completely controlled half of the taboo power, and my combat strength has increased tremendously. Once I extract the other half from you, I'll be able to completely control it. At that time, I'll use both the supreme heavenly power and the taboo power at the same time. Who in the world will be my match? I'll be invincible against those of the same level, and I'll surpass the strongest person in the history of the heavenly human tribe. Ha ha ha. Yiwu laughed. His face was ferocious, and his eyes were burning with anticipation. This time there was no response from the altar. Hunming despair. Yiwu snorted. At this time someone flew toward them. It was a second-level divine master heavenly human elder. You guys, how is it? Have you killed all the remaining people? Yiwu asked. Lord Yiwu, please forgive us. The second-level divine master heavenly human elder cupped his fists, fear written all over his face. Yiwu frowned, and a murderous aura emanated from him. Speak. What happened? Lord Yiwu, the heavenly court is too big, and we're severely understaffed. Moreover, it's difficult to capture them during the fog. We don't know where the rest of the people have gone, so... The second-level divine master heavenly human elder stammered. Trash. What a bunch of trash. Yiwu shouted. The second-level divine master heavenly human elder lowered his head, not daring to reply. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't leave, I would have gone there myself. Go, continue the search. You must kill all of them, and bring me the fragments of the primordial stone of fate. The complete primordial stone of fate will be my treasure. Yiwu ordered. Yes. I'll do my best. Don't do your best. You must complete it. Yiwu's face darkened. The other party hurriedly replied and left. Chapter 4483. With the map and no one ambushing them, Lu Ming and the others moved much faster. When the fog dissipated, they moved even faster. They flew at full speed according to the map. In just 7 days, they were close to the hiding place of the Life Soul Heavenly Court's supreme treasure. At this time, the atmosphere became even more tense. Everyone wanted the supreme treasure, so they were hostile to each other. Therefore, they kept a distance from each other for fear of being ambushed by others. We're almost there. Everyone, why don't we discuss how to split the treasure after we find it? A second-layer Divine Master expert said. Of course it's based on our strength. Lu Ming said. Okay, then it's based on our strength. The second-layer Divine Master expert said. This was the law of the cultivation world. If they couldn't work together to split the treasure, they could only rely on their strength. The others had no objections. According to the map, we'll reach a plain after flying over this mountain. We'll be there soon. Another second-layer Divine Master Elder said. This person had been holding the map all this time. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. They used their movement techniques and flew over the top of the mountain. In the next moment, everyone stopped abruptly. Their eyes widened as they stared in front of them. Then everyone's eyes were filled with shock. They naturally saw the heavenly human experts, the altar, and the formation below. Lu Ming and the others were dumbfounded. They didn't expect the heavenly human tribe to be here. Shouldn't the heavenly human tribe be in the east? Ha ha ha, I've searched high and low, only to find it by chance. These people actually delivered themselves to me. Take them down. Yi Wu laughed loudly. With a wave of his hand, 2 heavenly human elders stepped forward and rushed toward Lu Ming and the others. These 2 elders didn't participate in the formation, so their cultivation wasn't too high. They were only second-layer divine masters. But they were also very terrifying. They pressed toward Lu Ming and the others like 2 stars. Oh no, we've been tricked. Let's go. Lu Ming roared, his power bursting forth as he pulled Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, and Myriad God back. Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, and Myriad God also reacted and quickly retreated. Dark Night rose and the others reacted very quickly. Just as Lu Ming and the others retreated, they also retreated. The other groups of people reacted a little slower, and by the time they were about to retreat, the 2 second-tier divine masters of the celestial race had already closed in. A long spear and a battle sword, both formed from the most powerful heavenly force, slaughtered towards the crowd. The power was extremely shocking. Block it! The 2 second-layer divine master realm existences shouted angrily. They erupted with their full strength and blasted out a blow. However, they were no match for the celestial race's experts. After exchanging a blow, they coughed up blood and retreated. The 2 second-layer divine masters of the heavenly human tribe didn't stop their attacks. Screams filled the air as the only remaining first-layer divine lord was killed. In addition, a few other young prodigies were also killed. Their storage rings fell into the hands of the celestial race. Among them was the peerless genius ranked 5th on the universe prodigy list, Bei Ao. He was also killed in a single blow. Let's go. After the 2 second-layer divine masters were injured, they turned around and left. They didn't dare to linger. The 2 of you, go after those 2 divine masters. Leave those little fellows to me. Yi Wu's voice rang out as he charged forward, chasing after Lu Ming and the others. His speed was extremely shocking. After a few flashes, the distance between him and Lu Ming and the others was rapidly closing. Boom. He punched out, and a blazing fist energy blasted toward Lu Ming and the others. The violent power caused Lu Ming and the group's expressions to change drastically. 3rd-layer divine master. The moment Yi Wu attacked, Lu Ming and the others sensed that Yi Wu's cultivation was at the 3rd-layer divine master realm. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary 3rd-layer divine master. The fist energy was like a blazing sun. It was formed by countless lightning bolts. This was the power of heaven's punishment. In an instant, it enveloped Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jiani and the others. Buzz! Lu Ming shouted as he used the obsidian staff. He unleashed his full strength and attacked the fist energy. At the same time, Xian Yinqing, Dark Night Rose, and the others all attacked. They knew that if they couldn't block it, they would all die. Now they were intimately interdependent. With so many people attacking at the same time, all kinds of powerful weapons bombarded the blazing fist energy, causing a series of earth-shattering explosions. Then these powerful weapons vibrated violently and were sent flying. Lu Ming and the others retreated like kites with broken strings and fell to the ground. They all suffered different degrees of injuries. What a powerful force! Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. This person's combat power was too strong. Although he was only a 3rd-layer divine master, his strength was definitely much stronger than an ordinary 3rd-layer divine master. When this person was young, he must have been a top genius. However, at this moment, Yi Wu's eyes were fixed on Lu Ming. Forbidden power. You have mastered the forbidden power. Good, very good. As long as I can suppress you and send you back to the heavenly palace, it will be a great achievement. Yi Wu laughed as he put his hands behind his back and stepped forward. He looked as if he was invincible. He was very conceited. However, with his strength, he had the right to be conceited when facing Lu Ming and the others. Attack! At this moment, Xian Yinqing and Dark Night Rose shouted as they moved at the same time. They flashed out and quickly formed seals with their hands. Combined attack technique, explode. The next moment, a huge black lotus appeared under Yi Wu's feet. On top of his head, a sky-devouring rose appeared. The two flowers, one above the other, released a terrifying burst of field energy that enveloped Yi Wu. At the same time, Xian Yanqing and Dark Night Rose circulated the origin energy in their bodies. Although they had used it the last time, it had been many days since then. The origin energy in the seed of origin had long been restored. Sizzle. The field energy made Yi Wu's body tremble slightly. Even his protective heavenly energy was trembling. Combined attack technique. Interesting. No, this is the origin energy. Yi Wu's face suddenly changed. He was shocked. He could feel the origin energy in the terrifying field energy. Xian Yanqing and Dark Night Rose were only 9th-layer divine gods, but they had mastered the origin energy. This made Yi Wu very surprised and curious. At this moment, Lu Ming also made his move. He also released the origin energy and merged it with the forbidden power into the obsidian staff. He activated the obsidian staff with all his might and attacked Yi Wu. Boom. The attack went through the field energy and hit Yi Wu's face. This is also the origin energy. Yi Wu's eyes were shining. There was greed, passion, and surprise in his eyes. However, he didn't stop there. He threw a punch. When he punched out, a terrifying power erupted from his body. This power was not the power of the heavens. It was the forbidden power. Chapter 4484. Clang. Yi Wu threw out a punch and hit the Bingxian staff. Instantly, Lu Ming felt an indestructible and overwhelming force rushing toward him from the Bingxian rod. His body could not help but retreat as he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His arm was almost shattered by the powerful force. It was covered with cracks and blood was flowing out. Forbidden power. This is the forbidden power. Lu Ming was shocked. He was all too familiar with taboo powers. Once Yi Wu used it, Lu Ming could sense that this was taboo power. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others were also shocked. They stared at Yi Wu. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? It was unbelievable. Legend had it that the forbidden power was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. The forbidden body was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? No, it's an incomplete forbidden power. It's not complete. There's only half of it. It might have been extracted from someone else. Lu Ming shouted. He remembered that when he was captured, the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the forbidden power from him. Perhaps the forbidden power controlled by the heavenly human tribe was extracted from other forbidden bodies. That was why there was only half of it. A forbidden power and origin in advance. Good, very good. It's a great achievement to capture someone like you. Suppress, Yi Wu shouted. The energy in his body erupted like a volcano. This time, he used his full strength. His terrifying power directly destroyed Xian Yanqing and Dark Night Rose's combined attack. The two of them spat out blood and flew back, crashing to the ground. Then Yi Wu stretched out his hand. A huge palm formed and grabbed at Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming and the others with a single move. Yi Wu was too powerful. His cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm, which was far beyond what Lu Ming and the others could handle. Coupled with his terrifying combat strength, he was much stronger than Lu Ming and the others. He didn't use his full strength when he attacked Lu Ming and the others. Otherwise, he could have killed Lu Ming and the others in an instant. At this moment, he stretched out his palm. The huge palm covered the sky like a small world. The terrifying energy suppressed Lu Ming and the others and made them unable to move, let alone fight back. We still fell into Chu Yi's trap. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. At this moment, he knew that Chu Yi had tricked them. What Chu Yi said sounded true. He said that there was a supreme treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court here, and that it needed many pieces of the Life Spirit Origin Stone to open it. He also said that his map was true. Otherwise, Chu Yi would not have dared to swear on his life origin. However, he had hidden the most important piece of information. That was, this place had long been occupied by the heavenly human tribe. Even if Chu-Yi had obtained many life origin stone fragments, he wouldn't have dared to come here. He told Lu Ming and the others about this place so that Lu Ming and the others could come here and die. Lu Ming and the others didn't understand at that time, but it was too late now. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Down below, on the ground, the altar that had been motionless suddenly shone brightly, and a burst of energy rushed toward Yi Wu. Yi Wu was shocked and quickly retreated. However, the target of this force wasn't Yi Wu, but Lu Ming and the others. With a bang, the giant palm formed by Yi Wu was crushed by this force. Then this force enveloped Lu Ming and the others. This force was like a strong suction force, trying to suck Lu Ming and the others into the altar. Don't resist. I'm saving you. A rough voice sounded in the ears of Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others were moved. They didn't resist at all, and let the force pull them toward the altar. Although they didn't know who the other party was, and whether they had any ill intentions, they had no choice now. If they were outside, they would definitely be suppressed or even killed by the heavenly human tribe. If they followed this force, they might have a chance. Soul Destiny. Yi Wu roared, his anger soaring to the sky. Stop him. Yi Wu continued to shout. The 12 people who set up the array shouted at the same time, and shot out a divine light to cut off the force from the altar. However, the altar shone and rushed out another force to attack the divine light. Boom. An earth-shattering rumble resounded, and energy overflowed in all directions. The entire area was covered by a sky full of multicolored light. Bang, bang, bang. The bronze statues kept exploding. 18 of them exploded in a row. In the end, they managed to block the force from the heavenly human tribe. There seemed to be a vortex on the altar, and the suction force suddenly increased. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jiani, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiu Wuji, and 3 other young men and women flew into the altar and disappeared. Damn it! Yi Wu roared in anger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures flew over. They were the 2 heavenly human tribe elders who were at 2nd level divine master realm. They had gone to kill the other 2 heavenly human tribe elders, and had returned. Have you killed them? Yi Wu asked coldly as he let out a breath and calmed down. Yes, they have been killed. Here are the fragments of the Soul Destiny Stone. One of the elders replied as he passed 2 storage rings to Yi Wu. Yi Wu took the 2 storage rings and scanned them with his spiritual consciousness. He looked much better. Humph. Hunming, you can't even save yourself. You want to save them? What a joke. You destroyed 18 bronze statues to save them. Let's see how long you can resist us. Once the formation is broken, none of you will live. Yi Wu stood in the air and said to the altar. The people on the altar ignored Yi Wu. At this moment, there was a group of people staring at each other on the altar, sizing up their surroundings. The inside of the altar was very spacious and large. It was like an underground space. There was also an altar here. The altar was made of divine jade, and it was covered with runes. There were also runes on the ground around the altar. These symbols shone and interweaved together to form a formation. Waves of mysterious aura were condensed from it. A figure was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the altar. The figure was in the shape of a human. He was tall and burly, but he looked miserable. He was so thin that he was just skin and bones. His eye sockets were sunken in. Occasionally, a few rays of light would flicker in them, proving that he was still alive. There was a layer of strange flames on the surface of this person's body. The flames were constantly jumping about, burning at all times. Lu Ming and the others looked at the figure carefully. It was obvious that he was the one who had brought them into the altar. Thank you for your help, Senior. Thank you for your help, Senior. Lu Ming and the others cupped their fists in gratitude. Chapter 4485. You don't have to be polite. I just don't want to see you die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. You are all talented and have endless potential. It would be a pity to die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. The withered figure sitting on the altar spoke. His voice was rough, just like what they had heard before, but his aura was weak. Senior, how should I address you? Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. You heard that heavenly human brat call me, right? My name is Hunming. The withered figure said. Hunming? Everyone was confused. They had never heard of it before. You may not have heard of my name, but you should have heard of my other title. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. The withered voice continued. Everyone pricked up their ears to listen. This person must have a shocking background. That was their guess. They could tell by looking at the layout of the area. There were 108 bronze statues surrounding the altar. There were also 12 powerful divine weapons around the altar. The divine weapons gave off a shocking aura. Lu Ming and Anya Rose felt a sense of familiarity. Those were the 18 divine weapons of the palaces. Thinking up to this point, the two of them became even more bewildered as their imaginations ran wild. Han Ming's voice continued. Back then, all the races in the primitive universe called me the master of the heavenly court. Rumble. It was like a clap of thunder in everyone's mind. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the withered figure in shock. Shock and disbelief were in their eyes. It was shocking. It was really shocking. They had heard of the master of the heavenly court. His full name was the master of the life spirit heavenly court. This person was actually the master of the life spirit heavenly court, known as one of the most powerful taboos in history. Legend had it that the master of the life spirit heavenly court died with the destruction of the life spirit heavenly court. He was still alive? This was a truly legendary figure with an incomparably long history, even before the primordial divine court. Back then, the master of the life spirit heavenly court had created the life spirit heavenly court with his own strength. In the end, he developed the life spirit heavenly court to fight against the heavenly palace. Although they were defeated in the end, the heavenly palace, which was at its peak, suffered a great loss. After the battle with the life spirit heavenly court, the heavenly palace began to decline from its peak. Only then did the archaic divine court rise. This legendary figure had appeared before them just like that. However, his appearance was a bit too miserable. After a while, Lu Ming and the others came back to their senses. Senior, didn't you die in battle back then? What was going on now? Are those heavenly humans outside trying to deal with you? Also, why does the heavenly human tribe member outside possess half a wisp of forbidden power? Lu Ming asked several questions. Everyone revealed curious expressions because these were the same questions in their hearts. This little fellow has so many questions. The voice of the life spirit, the owner of the heavenly courts, sounded, making Lu Ming feel a little awkward. However, he still looked at the other party, hoping that the other party could answer his question. First, I'll answer your last question. The heavenly human outside is called Yi Wu. The half-taboo power in him is mine. Han Ming said. It turned out that this person was the Lord Yi Wu that the heavenly human tribe members had talked about. What was even more surprising was that the half-taboo power in Yi Wu's body actually belonged to the life spirit heavenly court's master. Back then, the life spirit heavenly court was defeated and I was severely injured. A few old fellows of the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the taboo power from me. In the end, they extracted half of it. However, I managed to escape in the end, and escaped with the life spirit heavenly court to hide in the ruins of the universe. I didn't expect that after so many years, they would still find me. Yi Wu's purpose was to extract half of the taboo power from me, and merge it into one to form a complete taboo power. The life spirit heavenly court's master briefly explained. Although it was very simple and understated, it was very difficult to explain. However, everyone could imagine that the battle back then must have been extremely tragic. The process of his escape must have been extremely difficult. Senior, after so many years, you still haven't recovered? Lu Ming asked again. After knowing Han Ming's identity, Lu Ming could not help but feel a lot closer to him. Perhaps it had something to do with the fact that they both had taboo bodies. Therefore, he became bolder and asked whatever questions he had. In front of an overlord like Han Ming, the others were a little reserved. Even Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose were the same. Although they were reincarnated, even in their previous lives, they were still children in front of Han Ming. They were the juniors of the juniors. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Han Ming sighed and said the word difficult 3 times. In the battle back then, my injuries were too severe. Of course, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that half of my taboo power was extracted, and I was struck by the heavenly human tribe's 3rd-generation soul fire. It's the same kind of fire that's on my body. The third-generation soul fire is difficult to extinguish. It's said to be able to stay with me for 3 lifetimes and constantly erode my soul, essence, and spirit. Even after the new year, it was difficult for me to recover. Hunming said. Everyone's hearts trembled slightly. The third-generation soul fire. There was actually such a terrifying fire in the world that could stay with him for 3 lifetimes and could not be extinguished. It was the same even for someone as powerful as Hunming. For countless years, he had to endure the pain of the third-generation soul fire without being able to recover his strength. Just thinking about it made one shudder. This is also because of the confidence of Yi Wu and the others. Otherwise, I would be able to crush these heavenly humans outside with a finger as long as I recover some of my strength, Hunming said. A glint flashed in Hunming's sunken eyes. Everyone felt as if they were looking at that invincible powerhouse again. Senior, how should we get out of here? Lu Ming asked. It's difficult to get out of here. Hunming sighed. Everyone's heart sank. Even Hunming said that it would be difficult to get out. Were they really going to be trapped here until they died? Now, I'm using my remaining strength to control the array formation outside to resist. However, the other party has set up a great array formation, and there's even a heavenly monarch leading it. He's constantly breaking the array formation. Although I've summoned the 12 palace garrison divine weapons, they're not complete. They won't be able to resist for long, Hunming said. We have 2 guardian divine weapons here. I don't know if they'll be useful, Lu Ming said. It's useless. Even with the 2 of you, we only have 14 of them. The 18 Hall garrison divine weapons are incomplete, so they won't be of much use. The remaining ones should be sealed in the Celestial Palace, so I can't summon them. Hunming shook his head and continued. Originally, I wanted to summon the fragments of my Life Spirit Stone to form a complete Life Spirit Stone. The Life Spirit Stone can provide me with great strength and allow me to resist the other party for a while. However, most of the fragments have been intercepted by the other party. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.